What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 450 of Opinions May Vary. I am your host, JR. Joining me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Alex.
Hello.
I almost got choked up already, but
We're barely 10 seconds in.
we persist, we move on, and we continue going. This is the final thing. This is what we've been working towards the last year. It's or the last 10 years. It is here. This is going to be the last episode of OMV proper, OMV current, whatever you want to call it, before who knows what the future holds, but I'm going to be bowing out and taking a break, and we'll see what happens after that. But until we're getting ahead of ourselves here. We have a little bit more to talk about. We have a little more episode to go. This isn't going to be the entire thing. A couple weeks ago, we we had the OMV All-Stars Part 1, which featured some of our very, very good friends who have been very, very good to us over the last couple of years. And we mentioned it was called Part 1 for a reason. We mentioned that there's more coming, and it's time for those. So before we get to the sad wrap-up stuff, we have some sad other wrap-up stuff with some more of the OMV All-Stars. So because this is probably going to be a long one, we're going to get right into it, because we have three?
Yes.
People? Yes, three people that we talked with, and it was a lot of fun. So we're going to cut right into it. Check out the OMV All-Stars Part 2. Now joining us is another one of the famed three that I discussed. Hopefully, if we get this in the right order, KT will have been first or before this segment. Otherwise, people will have no idea what I'm talking about when I talk about the famed three. I don't know how to put it. Vicky, I'm not sure if you were aware. Oh, by the way, we're talking to Vicky. Hey, Vicky.
I didn't know I was famous.
You and KT wasn't aware of this either, even though I thought we told everyone.
Can I stab a guess that Nichelle also has not yet gone, and she also does not know?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Potentially, but you are one of you were in the only episode of OMV ever to get stricken and removed from YouTube for
yes,
for violations.
Yes. How dare we?
Right? How dare you women talk about Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
For some reason. Still unexplained that the episode was eventually put back up after we disputed it, but it was flagged for review, and according to YouTube, they reviewed it and it violated their policy.
Oh.
How dare I?
Yep.
How dare KT? How dare Nichelle?
How
can't
dare
believe
you?
us.
I can't believe you women would have the audacity.
Yeah, to be women.
Unbelievable.
Sorry, what was
that? Vicky is one of the OGs. She is, and we've been bringing this up the last couple people we've talked with. You're one of like the prestigious every studio club. You recorded in my parents' basement. You recorded in Alex's parents' basement. You recorded in Alex's house, and now you're recording online. You have been
Which
with us.
Which is my basement.
Right. You've been in all the basements. You are an OMV OG. First appearance, if I did my math right, was episode 30. Do I have that right, Alex?
That's what I have. Yeah.
Do you have that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, let me check notes. That's definitely what I have.
Right?
I have notes.
Okay, we all did it.
So that was in the first year.
I was going to say, Vicky, do you want to wager? Do you want to? Well, there it is.
Whoops.
I was going to say, do you want to wager when that was, in case you didn't feel super old yet? It was in the first year in October. Do you remember when that was?
I know he just said it, but I didn't. Okay, there we go. I wasn't listening. You guys think I listen when you talk?
No, not at all. I don't blame you.
It's ridiculous.
at all. But yeah, you first appeared October 10th, 2012 on episode 30, where we talked about apparently Kickstarter, the Peanuts movie, New York Comic Con. I don't know. We didn't know how to read our guests at that point. But
what I remember about that was we sat around and we talked for like 2 hours before we turned on the microphone.
It was bad. We're so bad at this.
And I remember we went through basically all of the content that we were going to talk about. So we basically did like a dry run, and then we turned on the microphone and we just started the conversation over.
Yeah. Yep.
Good times.
We put our guests through hell in those early stages where it was like, we're also friends. So like we would just sit around and bullshit for hours. And then it's like, oh, it's 11:30. We should probably start doing this.
And then like the guests where Jared was stuck with us for 3 hours. Then we recorded. Then he hung out for another 2 hours.
It was awesome.
Good times.
But Vicky, you're also one of the few, I think it's like 3 people, I don't know in terms of official capacity, but you have acted as a field reporter,
yes,
an official coverage person for OMV.
Correspondent.
There it is.
I have an official OMV email. I don't know if it works, but I do have it.
It is still active. I was in our whole thing the other day looking at stuff. It is still active. I can reset your password if you need.
Probably.
But it is true. Vicky does have an OMV email. Vicky has represented OMV at conventions, specifically Anime Boston, I believe twice.
I believe it might have been 3 times.
Either 2 or 3. I think one year they approved it one year when you and Colin went.
Yes, that was I think good year.
That was a fun year, and we went out to Friendlies and we game planned, and someone got the fried clam things. I don't know. Anyways, but like they approved it one year, and then the next year they're like, no, absolutely not this year. And then like 2 years later, they're like, okay, yeah, sure, fine.
Yeah, Anime Boston is finicky. Because I did the same thing with panels. They approved panels one year, and then there was this thing where Rocket and I did I think it was the materials panel, and they like refused to pay both of us because there was like some sort of compensation that went along with being a panelist, but they would only pay him for his ticket. I don't know. It was a wild ride of a time. So we were just like, I guess we need to just have like a series of panels, which is what we did. So we would just go to multiple, every convention we would go to, we would apply for multiple panels, because that was the thing, was like Anime Boston had this rule of like, oh, because you only had one panel, you only get one pass or compensation for one pass. And if you have X number of panels, you get X number of passes. And then I think you get additional compensation. And I don't even remember because it's been centuries since I've been to a convention.
While we're here, this is something that I had assumed, and I wasn't sure if it was how you would planned it out. But like I remember you doing the cosplay panels at Kineticon, and I'm not sure who it was, but like someone would take some pictures, and I don't know if anyone was getting like room count, and then a couple years later you have a cosplay panel at PAX. Is there like a thing where you have to like bring evidence of successful panel to the bigger event?
No, actually, the first panel that we ever got approved was PAX East.
Really?
We did the materials panel, and we didn't even have our slideshow done. We just had a concept, which was that we wanted to review materials for cosplay. And you have to like have a title and a description, which is what they print in the in the guidebook program. And on all the apps and stuff. So that's literally all we needed before the actual convention. And then there isn't any follow-up with like, what kind of like prep do you need? It's literally the day of. They're like, do you need audio and visual, or do you just need audio? And it's like, I need audio and visual, and I have videos to play in the thing. They're like, okay, cool. But later, that's probably the most surprising thing about getting into doing panels was how unprepared you can be getting into it. Because I was thinking like, oh my God, they're not gonna say yes to us. Like we're just a bunch of putzes in costumes. We don't know what we're doing. And they were like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
See,
and that was the packs that we had packed the room. There was a line and they had capped the room.
Nice.
Yeah, I couldn't get in. I was like, oh, because it was at the same time as another panel that I wanted to go to. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the first half of this one, and I'm going to go to the second half of Vicky's panel because I knew everyone else was already going to be at your panel, so I could just join up. And I get there, and I go to pull on the door, and an enforcer comes up to me, and they're like, "Oh, it's capped, it's full." And I was like, "But I know the person running this," and they're like, "Fantastic, it's full. You should have gotten here sooner." And I had to wait for the panel to end. I managed to sneak in with like 20 minutes left. I don't remember how it happened. I think like
the Q&A section, if I remember correctly.
The Q&A section started, so like a group of people left. So I was like, in theory, it's not full anymore. So I did manage to sneak in for the Q&A. And then I wound up with a bunch of materials in my hand. I like with you were like the passing samples. Out like the samples. And I was like, what do I do with these? I don't want these. But I couldn't get to you because you were flooded by fans. And people who were like, oh my God, the convention was amazing. I was like, I just need to give these to Vicky, please.
She's my friend. I know her.
I kind of know her. Like, none of you
I'm
do,
kind of
a
big deal.
She's represented my podcast before.
We've shot each other with Nerf darts. Okay, so
yeah.
Gotta
have Nerf battles.
Yeah, I would have bet that like you would have to prove your panel ship at like a smaller show. And then bring those numbers and the evidence to a show like PAX for them to even like consider and allow it.
That's what I thought too. And Rocket has, every time we reapply for another convention, because the year that we applied for New York Comic-Con, he made sure to put in because like you have the ability to put extra notes and stuff in depending on how the panel submission goes. And he put in extra notes saying like this panel was performed at PAX East, this date, this year, that season, whatever. So he puts in that information, and I've done it too with the Kineticon panels because we kind of all rotate who applies for what conventions. But that is like a note that we usually put in is like, hey, I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. I got this. You want to talk about cosplay hacks? I can talk about cosplay hacks. I can talk about materials. You want to talk about materials? Fabric? I got fabric.
I've learned a lot from Vicky's panels, watching someone make essentially it was watching a mold isn't the right word. Like what's it called when you wrapped Allie in duct tape and
a form
pattern.
Yes. I got to watch that happen in real time, which was kind of
God. That was such a funny panel.
It was kind of, it was bonkers, but it was also super informative, especially to someone like me who knows nothing.
If I remember correctly, that's the only PG-13 panel we have ever done. So we were allowed to curse.
Nice.
Very exciting stuff because I have a potty mouth. So, and then of course I was the one who dropped an F-bomb. And then I repeated it. And then I was told because I repeated it, it was now rated R. And I was like, oh, well, then now I'm effed up.
You get the one. You get the one.
Yeah, only
like the one. In the movies, they throw the one in there in the PG-13s.
That's all you get.
But it's been a lot of fun. Has that been, because we did mention in pre-show, you've been obviously away from conventions, kind of like the rest of the world. Do you plan on, once things are safe and you feel comfortable going back, is that something you plan on doing again?
Yes, I do really enjoy the panels scene. It's just a lot of fun to sort of put together a presentation and talk about something I'm super passionate about and be able to chat with people after about something they're super passionate about and sort of share experiences. So it's definitely something I want to continue doing. And myself, as well as Mink and Rocket and Expletives and Thread, have all been talking about what panels we are looking to do going forward, what conventions we want to potentially do those panels at, and everything pending, we are hopefully going to start going to panels again this year. Mm-hmm. So we shall see where the wind blows us.
Yeah.
Let's see. In the time that we've had without conventions, has there been a lot of cosplays that like you've wanted to do and it's just, well, missed out on that, just gotta toss these plans out, or is there a back burner, or is there just
it's
just
definitely
adding
a
up
back
more?
burner. Yeah, I have had a list in my phone for about 13 years now that I just keep adding things to. And, every once in a while I get to check a box like, haha, I did it. But have not successfully checked any boxes in the last 2 years because I just sort of, because I couldn't go to a convention. That's always my motivation. I am a procrastinator when it comes to my crafting. Sometimes I'll spend months or years planning, but then that, what is it? Perfectionist paralysis kicks in, and I'm just sort of like, nope, I can't cut the material. I got to stare at it some more. So I've done a lot of staring at things the last 2 years. Although excitedly, one of the cosplays that I have been intending to do since Westworld came out, Dolores. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to find a Swiss chard? No, that's a cheese. Oh no, that's a plant. Swiss dot. It's a type of fabric that the fabric is like, there's dots, but it's like pulled out. So there's a texture to it, so you can feel the dots. And that is what Dolores's dress is made out of. And I have been on the hunt for it since the show premiered because I just loved her dress and I loved her character and I just really wanted to do it. I have such a thing for blondes, so I just had to be Dolores. And this year, my mom found the fabric. She was like, "Isn't this what you were looking for? Huh. We can finally make that dress." Yes, finally.
Well, would it be a complete clean version or one that's shot up and covered with blood, or I don't? You're planning on to make one dress.
Yes.
How many do you think they went through in the show?
Oh my God, more than you could count. I'm sure that they have an entire trailer of just like Dolores's blue outfit because, every time she got killed, you got to reset it.
She was one of the robots, JR. So in case you.
Spoiler.
Oh shit. So the humans go in and they play in this cowboy, fantasy land where there's other humans and a lot of people are androids or robots. And like they all kind of like reset in a day or two, depending on what your adventure is. And so there's like people that just get shot every single day.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And Dolores is one of the protagonists, I guess, that the camera is following her for a lot of the story, in and out of different resets that she goes through because of the people she's interacting with. And she's the farmer's daughter, or the rancher's daughter. She's like so sweet, and she's just, sweet Southern girl, like gotta love her. But she's also a total badass. To answer the initial question of, is there going to be a clean version or a dirty version? I am a big fan of repurposing costumes. So my intention currently is to make the full clean version. And then depending on where the wind blows me, I either destroy the clean version into the ruined version, or if I have enough fabric, I just initially make a dirty, destroyed version. But like, I really want to make her down to her slip and her corset, like the detailing because there is a lot of like hand sewn, hand crocheted lace and absolute beautiful detailing and everything that she wears. So that's what I really want to like make a full competition piece with her.
I'm already like exhausted. I don't know because I'm so out of the game, like haven't been to a convention in 2 years, and so thinking about all the prep that goes into it. Not like I've ever even made or worn a cosplay before, but the amount of work that goes into it. I remember when is it Shanna from the League of Legends one that?
Oh, Jana.
Yeah, Jana. Yeah, yep. just the staff alone had how many hours of work in it?
Oh, you think I remember that after all this time?
It was a lot of hours. I remember, yeah, you were like, yeah, it was this many hours just in the staff, not to mention the actual outfit that I'm wearing. That's like award winning.
Oh, thanks. It wasn't, but thanks.
Well, it won the OMV award for coolest Vicky.
Oh my God. Thanks.
There it is.
It did?
There it is.
I mean, yeah. It did.
Ah,
Mhm.
cool.
Remember that? Remember that year? Surprised you don't. Anyways, what else is there to reminisce about?
Well, it's funny because you're saying award winning. That makes me want to re-enter Sif because I entered her into New York Comic Con and she didn't get in, and I've made improvements since. So now I'm like, what if I enter her again? You think they'll let me in this time?
Right? I mean, there's only one way to find out.
Yeah,
Make sure you slap every Loki you see too.
Yeah. Give him the business. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I mean, Vicky famously blew my mind with her cosplay from, I think it was like first year at Kineticon. I think I had literally just met her. I'm not even sure if we had ever been introduced before. And you were dressed up as Robin from Batman and Robin. And you vanished and conjured a phone.
Oh, secret pocket.
Secret pocket. And I like leaned over to Alex and I was like, where the fuck did she pull that phone out? Like, it legitimately ruined my day.
Even later
to this day, I'm pretty sure one or both of you are at least vaguely familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Secret Tunnel.
Yeah, Brett and I may have mentioned, Avatar once or twice. And Secret Tunnel is a thing in the song Secret Tunnel. And for some reason that day, Secret Tunnel got morphed into Secret Pocket, which to this day is a running theme song in my tight knit circle of friends. Like Aaron, I'll pull something out of the pocket, like the inner pocket of a jacket, and my friend Aaron will just be like, secret pocket, secret pocket. Every time.
Well, that was one of my favorite memories. If we're hanging out, and then Jared goes, and then Vicky pulls a phone out of her ass.
You have to use your utility belt to its full extent.
It was it legitimately blew my mind. It just appeared out of nowhere. It didn't look like there could have been anywhere that it was. It was pretty great. And I was like, oh, okay, so she's good at this stuff. She knows.
The best part is that pocket was made out of duct tape.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Yeah, you just got to be super crafty. A lot of work went into that pocket. About 3 minutes. It's good.
Well, if it ain't broke, if it works. But looking forward, we've been talking about conventions and dressing and cosplaying and things like that. Obviously, it's still comfort levels are all over the place, depending on situation and the current climate and all that stuff. But is there any show that you're particularly like, okay, once things are back up, if and when, God willing, is there a show that maybe you haven't been to before that you're like particularly itching to go to?
Ooh, there's a lot of shows that I've been itching to go to over the years. I'm not particularly eager to get to any of them this year in particular, right, because of a lot of factors. And the biggest one being financially. I've spent 2 years not going to conventions, and I realized I spent a lot of money on conventions, even with free passes, because I always end up getting a hotel room, and that ends up being like $2,000 because we'll stay extra days, and then we'll eat out. And I've just, I always end up with a nice bill attached to every convention I go to. So the last 2 years were nice in that regard because I paid down some debt. Like, it's nice. So I definitely know going forward, I don't want to be as extravagant as I have in the past. Like there are some years where I've been to like 9 conventions in a year, and it becomes taxing financially. So I want to, for the plan, and plans don't always go the way you plan, but maybe only do 2 or 3 conventions a year and try to stick to that. So it's definitely going to be, I have to forward think what conventions do I want to go to and rotating years of what I do, because I'm definitely not going to stop going to conventions. You know, I can stop anytime I want, but I just don't want to.
Well, I guess we'll get to the point where we say thank you for contributing to the show. You've had 9 episodes with us, which
it's been 9.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Almost double digits. So close. I mean, I guess this is going to make 10, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Nailed it.
Okay.
We got there.
Double digits. I do have one request after OMV ends. Can like we guys still be friends and hang out and stuff? Is that allowed?
Well,
I mean, I understand. I got it.
Like, I didn't want to like make this awkward like on air, but like, you know, what use is there going to be?
Just say yes. She's crying. Make her stop. Just make it stop.
I've been Vicky, what I've been saying to everyone throughout this, because I believe you're another person that is a casualty of this show, and meaning you. Sorry, now you know me. Because like, I don't think we worked together at the local theme park. I think you were after me, unless you were there 06 or 07, but I don't think you were.
Nope. 08 was first year, baby.
Right, exactly. So I probably would have never met you or not had any more of a relationship than, oh, I know her name, had it not been for this show. So I've been making sure to kind of count my blessings when it comes to that. Like, if there's anything we got out of spending thousands of dollars of hosting fees and going to conventions and bothering all of our friends for hours and hours at a time to come on and do this show, and we can't even pay them, is the friendships that I got to forge along the way, which are really neat.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, the memes, you know, the friendships we made along the way. It's legitimate. Like, it's nice to be able to say, like, I've made so many friends, and a lot of, like, so many people that we've talked to on the show have just been so, if you'll pardon my French, it's just been so fucking cool. And I count you among them. It's been awesome getting to know you, meeting up with you at conventions and being like, oh shit, that's Vicky. Look, it's the best Samus you're going to see today. You know, and like, I remember, at one of the PAXs on the League of Legends stage, you were up there in the, I already forgot her name, Jana. And I remember, like, we were all yelling and, oh shit, we know her, and nobody cared. But we did. And that's what mattered. But yeah, it's been awesome. Not only to have like a convention friend, but also just like a friend. It's neat.
Thank you.
Thanks for always coming on and letting us bother the hell out of you for this.
Thank you. I love it. I love spending time with you guys. Again, the half hour before we start recording, and then the hour after where we're all just gabbing. It's many, many fond memories. And again, I hope we can continue doing this, even if we aren't recording the conversations and putting them on the internet for everyone to listen to.
Yeah. Yep.
It's always been fun because it's one of those, you've always had a new perspective for us. If you told us about something new, that's cool. And like, if Brett telling me about Avatar wasn't enough, and then Joe told me about Avatar and that wasn't enough, and then Vicky tells me about Avatar, and I go, maybe I should watch Avatar.
Have you watched it yet?
I have.
Alex.
Yeah. Sounds like you guys have something to talk about.
I'm so excited.
But you're definitely one of the people that we can look to for new perspectives and to tell us, educate us on things that we weren't already aware of, and that's part of the fun and blessing of doing this with our friends.
It's sad, but it's also happy sad, because it's also cool because I get to keep being your friend after this.
Yeah.
So, while it is the end of OMV proper, or whatever we want to call it, we're not sure what the future is going to hold, but your appearances and your coverage. Like, you literally did work for us. It was pretty cool. And then you came on and told us about conventions that we haven't been to. So it's been awesome. Thank you so much. We still have to, now we have, we're not going to record episodes, but we're going to have Nerf fights.
Mhm.
And there's also going to be puppy play dates eventually. It's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, and how long have you had Clyde now?
Clyde is 6.5 now. So.
Can I, just for a second, Bandit is creeping up on 13.
Damn.
And Kiyoki is about to be 14.
Dang. Okay. Yeah. We'll get on that. We'll get
one
there.
of these days.
We'll get there.
Specifically, Bandit and Clyde having a play date,
Vicky and I have been talking
their first one.
about this since I got my dog 6.5 years ago. It's been, oh my God, I can't wait. And here we are 6.5 years later, and it still hasn't happened. So if anything, it's an excuse to hang out. I plan on, there's a thing that I'm allowed to burn stuff in my backyard. So I burn stuff in, and then I invite my friends over to watch stuff burn.
I like watching stuff burn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we'll make it happen.
Also, I now work closer to where you live. So like coming to visit is not as burdensome because I live pretty far north of you, but
right.
I now work pretty far south of me, which is pretty close to you.
We're going to make it work.
Yeah.
We're going to do it. I don't think anyone listening gives a shit about this part. So I'm gonna do everyone listening a favor. And we're gonna get to the next segment. So Vicky, thanks again. It's been a blast talking with you, getting to know you, just in general, having a good time. And Alex, thanks for introducing me. It's been, you're so good at finding those guests, man. So good.
Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, Vicky, thanks again.
Thank you guys. It's been really an amazing time knowing both of you. You're such fantastic people. And I couldn't agree more. Alex has such a talent of bringing fun and interesting people together because our good buddy Colin, I saw him the other night. So again, more friendships that are forged over this podcast and over you guys bringing, again, just a bunch of friends together to talk about our nerd shit. But
it's really neat. All right, I'm getting emotional.
Yeah, I'm going to start crying again, but for real cry this time.
It's messed up.
No, those were real tears.
Okay, all right. I think it's time. It's time. So Vicky, thanks again, and we'll see you around.
Okay, well, no, goodbye forever.
Oh no. And now, joining us in the studio. This one's kind of weird. This is the first time I've ever been on the other side of things, where there's two people in the studio where we usually record, and I'm on the outside. I'm stained. I'm looking in, and I'm on the phone. Whereas instead, and it's kind of weird, but
is that when you're like battered and broken, lying naked on the floor? Is that song?
I think it's a different one.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, is that Heart in a Blender? Is that the Heart in a Blender song?
Oh, I don't know.
No, that's something else.
Okay.
I don't even know. Anyways, we got John. We got John in the studio this week. John, thanks for coming on, man.
No, thank you for having me. Once more.
I had a moment when we first started chatting in pre-show where I was like, is this what we've been doing to people? Because like I can hear Alex crystal clear, and I've been doing this with Alex distanced for quite some time now, so I'm used to it. But John, who's on presumably where I usually sit, he sounds a little further away, and I keep wanting to be like, John, get up on your mic, dude. I can barely hear you. But then I remember he is up on the mic, and people will be able to hear him much more clearly than I can.
Let me turn the phone a bit because
it's not a big deal. It's just we've been doing this to guests for 10 years, and I can still hear him. It's just he's a little more distant, and it messed with me at first. But anyways, John, I'm glad you're here. It's been quite a while. We had a little teaser with you during the spooky season last year, but it has been quite some time since your last, I guess, in person or straight up, this is a John thing. So thanks for coming on, man. I've missed you very much. I hope you're doing well.
Oh yeah, thank you. I've also missed you guys, and I hope you're all doing physically and mentally well during these times we're living in. And speaking of spooky season, you know what I don't recommend is wearing a Captain America costume that has multiple plush layers to your grocery store job, because then you're instantly disgusting. Yeah, it was so sweaty. It was, but anyway, maybe I'll just wear a t-shirt next year with the shield on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a tangent.
I'm disappointed in myself. I think I messed up my calculations.
What happened?
Well, my count's off.
Oh,
Because
dear.
I forgot about. No, that wasn't this past year, right?
Which one?
2021.
Yeah.
John's latest appearance?
Yeah.
I don't
He was
think
on
so.
4/15, which was October 2020.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
have. That's what I have. So this means that as of this episode,
Okay.
John, you and Will are tied.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
for
man.
For appearances.
Oh.
We've been
Duking
keeping
it out.
We've been keeping track.
We'll have to. I don't know, like foam sword battle or something.
I think it's nice that the two of you have the same number of appearances. We realized Colin was just one short of Brett, and Joe was in between the four of you.
Hot.
Oh heavens!
John is a member of what we've been dubbing the Every Studio Club.
Oh.
John has been featured in every studio we've ever been in. Also, John is the only person to ever record in the studio without me there while I'm on the episode.
Like
If we're
presently,
being
like
hyper
right now.
specific about it.
Wow.
Jared wasn't even on that episode at all.
Which one?
You were studying, and so
There was one that I did miss
Yeah.
a while back because I was taking a very serious test. But John goes way back. John goes back to episode 6.
Oh wow.
That is number 6, April 23rd of 2012, just about a month away from now, 10 years ago, obviously.
Wow.
And then John also might have one of the longest hiatuses between his first and second appearance.
Oh.
Because John has moved across the country a couple times. John's a traveler. And your second appearance was episode 119.
Oh wow.
Which I didn't believe at first, because I was like, that can't be possible. I feel like we've had John on so many times.
I must have been living in Florida at the time.
I believe so. Yeah, because it was when I was doing very abbreviated show notes, and the last note was, "Oh shit, John is back from Florida, and he came on and talked to us."
Oh,
So,
cool. Yeah.
I think I nailed it there.
Nice.
But we've been bothering you to come on this show for quite some time now.
No, it's always been really fun.
It has, you've kind of you unofficially turned into our toy guy.
Oh yeah. I should have brought something
we've-
down to look at. Because Anyway, go on. What's what you're saying?
It's just a lot of fun, and I would probably bother Alex too much when it was like, "Hey, who should we talk to this week?" And I'm like, "John," because you're always fun to talk to, and also it's really neat to just discuss that stuff with you. It's fun.
It is fun.
One of the best parts is like I don't need an excuse to doing it on a podcast is cool, but I can also just hit up John and be like, "John, what do you think of this toy?" And we can just talk about toys.
Yeah.
Or collectibles and or Super 7.
We got a picture to our group chat mere weeks ago of the new Swamp Thing.
Oh yeah.
And how ridiculously huge he is compared to other figures.
And the fact that I know it's a company that I don't know, it just seems really crazy because a lot of the times something that you'd see in like a chain store, like a big store, like a Target, would be associated with like a new movie or something. But like this guy, Todd McFarlane, I mean, he has his pros and cons, but like he was just like, I just want to make a Swamp Thing. And like he did a good job, I thought. And yeah. Shout out to Will and his lovely wife, who actually surprised me with it when I went to visit them
What?
recently. We exchanged very late Christmas gifts, and so that was very nice of them. So, yeah,
That's nice.
yeah,
That's just nice.
One time you specifically brought monsters to the studio, or like monster figures.
yeah.
And then I swore at you because you had a Galactus Build-A-Figure.
I thought it was a little pricey of a thing at the time, but I just couldn't leave it there. But yeah, you go with your.
Yeah, I was kind of pissed because like I'd wanted one of those, and you picked it up for what I felt was a really good price.
Yeah, are we okay with saying? I
Yeah,
can,
sure.
yeah. So I was at this place in Worcester, this amazing store. That's Entertainment, and I love going there because they always have different things whenever you go there. It's always different. And one of the times I went in one of the glass cases, they just had Galactus there, and he was like kind of dusty looking, like he'd just been like chilling there for a little while, and like he was only going, like, I thought it was a bit of an expense at the time, but he was like $50 for like, that's it. And then I was like, I can't just leave it here, or I don't know if I'll ever see it again.
Right.
Like, so
You owe it to that figure.
yeah, to clean him up and display him, maybe with a teeny little Silver Surfer in his hand or something.
Meanwhile, I've been seeing ones easily 100 apiece, if
Wow.
not more. Yeah, and plus, like what Jared didn't get was like part of my reaction was that's the first Build-A-Figure.
Yeah,
that
the
was
first.
that was the original. There hadn't been any before that.
It's a cool concept.
Yeah,
And that was the first one.
I guess aside from Transformers that actually combiner bots.
Oh, Transformatrons.
Yeah. But this is the only one, like, I want to buy Psylocke, but it comes with this purple leg.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Why is there a leg in my Cyclops package?
Back in the day, like, this sounds like old man be like, prices go up. But like, anyway, I think a Marvel Legend was like $10 or $12, and you would get the figure, like a fully sculpted stand and a comic book. Like,
Sometimes, yeah.
And like the early ones came with comics. It's like, what a value, like a stand or like a leg of something that could build like a huge something. But anyway,
Although the Legends also started getting into chase figures.
yeah.
It's like each case would have one variant figure, and it would be like Red Skull without his hat or something.
Yeah.
And now that one's $80 instead of $25, and no one knows why.
Like there was like a Iron Man, and then the chase was like gold Iron Man. Like, so I just made you spend more money, I guess, if you're a completist. But
John, you'll be happy to know I recently, if we're talking specifically like action figures, I recently bought 2 of them. I bought 2 action figures. I did. I'm pretty excited about them.
sweet.
Also, in just that extra layer of like nerdiness or whatever you want to call it, they're wrestling action figures.
Oh, cool. Like,
yeah.
I don't know too much about wrestling, but like the huge personalities like are still really cool. Like, I would definitely see myself getting like a Macho Man or something, but like
Right, like
or
it's
an Andre
funny,
the
and
Giant.
I've discussed my love of AEW. They're like the new shit.
Yeah, yeah.
John, for people who aren't into it. And I remember when they came out, they're like, because they came out with action figures pretty quick. And when they released them, I was like, I have zero interest in that. It's just another collectible for me to take up space. I don't need to spend money on that. And then the second I saw one in stores, I bought one.
Who'd you
Because
get?
it just happened. He's my favorite wrestler. His name's Kenny Omega.
Cool name. That's a great name.
He's a very cool dude. And they had one Kenny Omega at Target, and I was like, well, have to buy that.
Yeah.
And then I bought a second one. I bought Hangman Adam Page.
Oh, that's a cool. He must be a bad guy, right?
He's actually the top good guy in the company right now. He's the champion.
Even though he's the hangman.
He's the hangman, but he's also a former public school teacher in real life. And also he champions mental health. And his main storyline deals with like anxiety and it's just been really like one of his top selling T-shirts just says "Anxious Millennial Cowboy."
That's very nice.
I very much like Hangman Page, and I saw his figure in in Target, and I was like, well, gotta get that one. So now I have 2 action figures, and they're right on my shelf near my buff jacked Darth Vader that you made for me, John.
Yes. Back when I was
Because
motivated
John
to do
also
such
dabbles
things.
in customs. And John gifted me a very buff Darth Vader figure.
It's just funny to see different characters in that sort of He-Man mold. It's that sort of like
It's so dope.
extremely muscular, like. But yeah, I would definitely. That sounds interesting. I follow Matt Cardona on Instagram, and like
He's huge into it.
he's a huge wrestler, but also he's a huge like fanboy and collector too. So it's
He has his
cool
own
to see.
he has the podcast, like
Yeah.
the major wrestling figure podcast or whatever it's called.
I forget his. That's his real name, I think, but he had a name he was going by for a
He
while.
was Zack Ryder in WWE.
Oh, that's Zack Ryder?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That was his stage name.
And now he's killing it on the indies because he got released. He showed up in AEW for a little bit, like on a per appearance basis, but he's like the GCW champion right now. He's the
Cool.
I can't remember. He has like 6 belts right now.
That's awesome.
And like his career has been like completely revitalized, not being in WWE.
Like they were holding him back.
And the dude
It's-
loves action figures. He does it with Mark Sterling, right?
I do not
believe-
know the other guy's name, but I trust your judgment.
I believe you.
I believe you. But yeah, it's cool. Like, imagine being an athlete or even in like an actor, and like you're in a big tentpole thing, and then I can understand why people like they'd be excited, like, oh, I have a little thing of me. It's my face on this thing. So that's pretty fun.
It's just fun to collect. Like one of my latest things is especially a lot of the wrestlers, they all have vlogs. Everyone has a vlog these days. And some of them go on like toy hunts.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
like it's just fun to like because they travel across the country,
Right.
10 months out of the year.
a
So they
crazy
see all
life.
these different they see all these different toy stores, and they all collect different things, and they go with like different wrestlers every time. So one guy's looking for this one thing and the other guy's looking for another, and it's just neat, especially when it's like, oh, I had that as a kid, and now
Yes,
they're spending
that's
like
always cool
hundreds
to
of
see.
dollars on it.
To reacquire it. I saw. Speaking of that, I saw in. This is not an action figure per se, but like, but I at the Holyoke Mall, there's a little place where the little indie place that now has like old sort of nostalgic video game stuff, and I saw in a glass case my Game Boy Color, which was the purple translucent one. And I wish I knew where that was because I had all the Pokemon Red, Yellow, and Gold.
Nice.
And all of those are just to the 4 winds of time because I don't know where the hell they went. And I really wish I still had them because now they're very expensive.
That's been wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone just shared a picture of like, this game's from the mid 90s and they want almost $100 for it.
Because it's retro. It's like, oh, that's okay. I'll go back to my crypt now and just lie down.
Even games that I saw on Reddit the other day, someone had a copy of Pokemon Pearl, which came out in like 2011 or like 2007 or 2008.
Yeah.
And they were asking, no case, no box, no instruction manual, no nothing. And they were asking like almost $100 for it.
But that was just yesterday, it feels like. But that was
pretty
like,
much, yeah.
but it wasn't, and that's like the last time I did I ever say that I played Batman at a theme park around here? Did I ever mention that? I
Most
don't know.
likely.
We haven't, I don't think we've named the character, but we've also,
Okay.
we've never named the park.
Okay.
Yeah.
Several banners. But yeah, the last time I did that was like 5 years ago. Because I came back from living in Florida and I needed a job, and then I have prior experience, so I did it again. But yeah, even that was like a little bit ago. Just like time, what is it? I don't know.
Well, that's when
It's a flat circle.
Yeah.
when we say things like, "Yeah, well, we're hitting 10 years doing the show."
Yeah.
And like we're gonna call that quits, and then try and remember like what was it? Jared was just saying, he was reviewing the best of medley for this past year.
Okay.
And it's a matter of like, we had that guy on this year? I thought he was like 3 years ago.
What?
It's like, no, this was his first appearance was 5 months ago.
Jeez.
Yeah, it kind of blew my mind. But we got to talk with Paul about I can't remember the name of the show. Masters
Daredevil?
something. No. The martial arts show that we both nerded out over.
WMAC.
WMAC Masters.
Oh.
The best show ever. I'm glad you remembered that because I wasn't going to.
Well,
get
you
there.
and Paul are going to do your own podcast now called The Masters of WMAC Masters next.
Is this like
makes me
MMA
laugh.
stuff or something?
It was like martial arts, but pro wrestling.
Oh, so
But
they have
the
like crazy characters and stuff?
Sometimes they got to just be
Exactly.
themselves because it was their own name.
Okay.
But also there was like a cyborg arm, but like they would just take it off.
His
do
name
they
was
have-
Machine, and he wore like plastic parts on him that made him look like a robot, but
mean, who
he
hasn't
didn't
done
look like
that?
a robot.
What was I going to say? Something about...
Toys.
Oh, did you guys ever talk to Jervis, Gentleman
No.
Jervis?
No,
Because he's also a big nerd and into
Oh,
this
yeah.
sort of thing. And
No.
he's a collector.
he was on my wish list. I sent a message or two. There was a point where he wasn't doing like official cameo stuff,
Yeah.
but it was like, yeah, if you want to, have a chat with me, it's $25. And I was like, well, we've never paid anyone before,
Right.
but if he needs it, then I'd have to consult with my co-host about this.
So forgive me for going on this very short tangent because he's in very good shape. So I was like, this guy's got to be hot, right? And then
This is when I first like showed you his pictures, because
then he unmasks recently and he's like very pretty.
this was after our first trip to 5 Points Fest,
Yeah.
and we were in the car like stuck in traffic or something,
Right.
and I was seeing his post, and like I was like, oh yeah, you would like this guy. He's a gentleman. His mask like used to have a monocle like built into it,
Yeah.
and then he would also collect action figures, but then like take like high res photos of all the figures posed.
Yeah.
And his dog is named Sir Booblesnoot.
Oh my God.
And he like comes out and like shakes everyone's hands and then like rocks his opponent to sleep as his finisher.
That's amazing.
And so John's like seeing this like silly masked dude who's way too polite and speaks in a high pitched voice. John's like, this guy's hot. And I'm like, how could you tell?
He's like, he has to be. He's got to be.
And so this past year he finally unmasked and yeah, he's pretty good looking.
Anyway, that's my objectification rant.
He's had stories where like other promoters or people from other like,
Why are you wearing a mask? You can be the face of the brand.
and he's like, it's not about looks, it's about talent.
Yeah, it's about the character.
Yeah.
And he's a silly luchador man, so that's fine.
John, it's been a pleasure getting to talk. Fun fact: John is the second man I ever lived with,
Oh yeah.
and
Besides
we
your
spent
family?
Well, I mean, yeah, that I wasn't related to,
Oh, okay.
but it's a lot of fun. John's been a very good friend of the show for literally the entire show's existence. Whether he was across. Go ahead.
I'd guess that we would only have maybe half the spooky episodes that we have now if it wasn't for John.
Some
Yeah.
really fun ones.
Yeah.
Some really fun Halloween ones.
Like, I don't know where you retain all that knowledge of, like, there would be episodes where you just explain to us, like, the history of Halloween and why we check the candy, because it was just one guy who ruined it for everyone else.
Piece of shit. Excuse my French, but yeah, I would rather a balance between some of that trivia and like knowing like math or something. But yeah, I do have a lot of stuff like that rattling around. But
They were always very much look forward, especially the spooky episodes. John would show up with topics ready to go, and it's like, oh, okay, that makes our lives easier. But It's always fun, either whether we're talking spooky or whether we're talking toys. It's just fun.
Yeah, very much so.
Thanks for being a friend of the show. Thanks for being a friend to us.
Thank you. It's always fun to do this, and it's like a nice excuse to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It has been. At the very least, I got to chill with my friends and put microphones in front of their faces sometimes. So that was pretty cool. But John, I'm glad. I'm glad you're healthy. You're sticking it. Everything is awful, but at least my friends are here.
Yeah, thankfully, I'm gonna knock on this. I think this is a wooden table here.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah.
But I'm gonna knock on wood. Haven't gotten it yet, even though I've worked with the filthy public every day.
Arguably, like one of the most exposed people I know.
Yes.
Who has not caught it. So, again, knocking on all the wood.
Maybe scientists need to look at my bodily fluids to find the cure or whatever. But
right.
yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
Now I'm sad. These goodbyes are so sad, but it's not like we're going anywhere. Like
I don't mean to interrupt you, but to lighten the mood, I see over here, would you like me to read a few jokes from the Joker's joke book that Alex has?
Oh no!
On the shelf here.
Go ahead.
Excuse
Go
me.
for it. Yeah,
Give us
yeah.
pick out a couple. Hit us with some real tasteful jokes.
I think that book is pre-'80s. Whoop! The earplugs came out. That's okay.
We're almost done.
Back in. It's okay. We're good. Okay.
What do we got for jokes?
There's some gems in there.
This is so awful.
Just go with one.
What does the Bat computer eat for lunch?
What?
Floppy Joes and microchips. Oh, zing.
Someone got paid money to write that.
Imagine the Joker saying this while beating Jim Gordon's wife to death with a crowbar.
Why is an old comb like the Joker after a fight with Batman?
What?
They're
Missing
both
teeth?
missing teeth. Yeah.
Nailed it.
All right. Let's see here. Man, these are all Joker centric. I should have known by the cover. What's the difference between a bee and the Joker? Well, you'll never guess this one. One's a stinger, and the other one's a stinker.
Oh, damn.
Oh, you are correct, sir. You are correct.
You better be careful, John. You're gonna get the Joker coming after you, talking like that.
Let me see that. When is this from?
Yeah, what's the copyright on that bad boy?
This, I'm on the page. 1987.
That's when I was born.
Yeah, I think
that book is 34 years old.
it was $2.
$2. Did you pay
You
$2 for
overpaid.
this?
No, I got it at like a flea market or something.
Okay.
Or a tag sale.
money for this.
Jose Canseco bat?
I'll read the last one of the book, and that's
Yeah.
it. Why did the Joker... Okay, this is the one they're going out on. I want you to know that. Why did the Joker take a ruler to the restaurant? Because he wanted a square meal. Oh, my God.
was
He
the
wouldn't
banger.
have
They
to
were like-
have a gun. He would just tell people these jokes, and then they would all just walk off a pier.
They would. That's the Joker toxin.
Yeah.
The joke.
This is the actual material.
So
Oh,
Well, I'm smiling.
love that joke.
I think that was a good note. That was a good note to go out on. John, thanks again. I'm glad we got to do this.
Yes, me too.
Stay healthy, and hopefully we'll see you sooner rather than later. Maybe with cheesecakes involved. I don't know.
Yes,
Who knows?
Yes,
Who
or some
knows?
other concoction.
We kind of owe you for all the baked goods you've given us. So,
Oh, no. The only thing you owe me is that you enjoyed it.
it's true. We very much did.
Oh, good.
Some context for people listening at home who haven't tuned out yet. My wife and I destroyed a cheesecake that John made us, and I had no remorse. None. Zero remorse.
Was that a Christmas one?
I believe it was the Christmas one. Yeah.
So,
'cause
John didn't bring it to you. The Krampus
That's
bride.
true.
So-
Yeah. No. It was the heat miser. It was the snow miser.
that
and the
was-
heat miser
It was
this
cold
year.
miser and heat miser, and the Krampus delivered an apple pie to them.
Okay.
The
year
Krampus
before.
gave us a delicious pie.
Did the
Yep.
Krampus give me a cheesecake?
The Krampus did give you a cheesecake and scared your dog unintentionally. I should do the Krampus again, but like really authentic looking this year. That'd be really cool.
That was fantastic. We were playing. Who was that with Bob or Babs? We were playing like an online D&D thing, and I go, "Oh, hang on, the Krampus is at the door."
Oh, really?
and it's like recorded on the track too.
Yeah.
And our friend Colin was playing too, and he's like, "All right, whatever, Alex."
It's like, good joke.
And then like I posted the pictures and video for my security cam, and Colin's like, "Oh shit, there really was a Krampus."
Well, I'll be dipped. Yeah, that's a fun thing to do.
Fun things to bring smiles to people's faces.
Yeah, I
at
did it
terrible
like
times.
because like we couldn't be together on like those times because of the pandemic. That was in 2020 when I did the Krampus one. I was like, what around my apartment can I just like fashion into a costume? And I was like, well, this is an inexpensive thing because like you're just baking something, but it's like a personal thing too. So it was just fun to do. And then I
It
just
was also really nice to yell, "Thanks, Krampus!" out my front door
Yeah.
because I'm surrounded by just old, angry people.
joyless.
So
Yeah.
being able to scream "Thanks, Krampus" to a man dressed as the Krampus in my front yard, dropping off baked goods, it was nice.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, John, thank you. Love you very much, and
Love you
hopefully
guys
we'll
too.
talk with you soon.
Aw.
Oh. And finally, last but certainly not least, also I'm kind of pigeonholing ourselves. We have to put this last now before everything else, but it makes sense. It fits the whatever we're trying to do here. Anyways, we are joined by a very good friend of ours. We go way back with this person, despite the fact that we've never even met them face to face. We are joined by our very good friend Charlie. Charlie, dude, thank you so much for coming on one last time with us.
Thank you. It's an honor to be pigeonholed to the class. Yeah. and I hope again, as always, is that one day we will meet up somehow, some way. I'm hoping that will happen sooner than later.
Us
for
too.
sure.
Likewise. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For anyone who's not in the know, or new listeners, or if you haven't been listening since way back, Charlie is what could be described as the OG. I don't know if this is true, but we say it all the time. Charlie is arguably the first person that we ever reached out to that we didn't really know or like have a prior relationship with. It was just we found this thing on the internet and we thought it was neat, and we figured it'd be cool to talk with the creator of it. And that's kind of I don't know if it's that if that's where it all started, but one could make the case for it. And Charlie was kind enough to come on way back on episode 71, which was July 23rd of 2013. And we talked about sketch prices. It was a website that you had started that we first mentioned on episode 44,
Really?
January of 2013. Yeah. Alex
I
had
didn't know
found it. Right. And like, it was back when were we doing the pitch at that point?
Maybe.
Or was it just a topic? I can't remember. But Alex found sketchprices.com, preparing for a convention. And it was a huge help. And we're like, this is really neat. And then a couple months later, we were like, let's try and talk with this dude. And lo and behold, here we are 9 years later, meeting up again. That's kind of the little history there. But
Yes, and I think it was also my first time doing any kind of podcast, audio wise. I've had interviews before, not related to sketch prices, but you guys were early on. One of the first podcast that I listened to, just, part of it because you asked me to be on, but also,
Right, yep.
To be interviewed about sketch prices, which, at a certain point was a done deal. And then I brought it back on Facebook and I believe Alex, reached out to me. And I think that, you guys are so important to me, in the sense of just encouraging me and feeling like what I was doing was something worthy or worthwhile to exist. And
Right.
if it wasn't for you guys reaching out, who knows? Who knows if I would be talking to you today, about it.
Right.
I think you guys are a very important part of continuing the idea, adjusting accordingly.
Right.
Just on and on. You guys have a larger influence than I have probably expressed before, and I'm very thankful for it. And I hope I've shown that back to you. The last few years, it's probably been a little bit harder for me to post when you had some great guests and stuff like that. But I adore you guys. I'm so thankful for your support and yeah. You guys have made it fun, and I've enjoyed the ride with you guys, and I know that you guys are not necessarily maybe not going away,
right.
As opinions may vary. It's almost like Simon and Garfunkel taking a break from each other. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I'm sad that you guys are at least going to take a break. Some bands get back together, so you never know. So, but anyways, yeah. I'm very thankful for you guys.
Well, thank you for that. That was, no one yet has really gotten me, but Will came close, and Chalmers from Super Art, or formerly of Super Art Fight, he came close, but I'm officially crying right now. So there's that.
Got the waterworks.
But I'm glad to hear that. I'm happy we try so hard to be encouraging on the show. Then there's a lot of other shows that just thrive on beating things down and discouraging, and they think that being an insult show is what's popular, what will get them listens, and even if it's true, we don't care, because we'd rather be encouraging and we'd rather be positive about stuff. And like I've told you plenty of times, discovering sketch prices became such an asset for the hobby that we were getting into, just to be better informed, to be fans of comics and fans of artists and what they make and what they're going to draw. And, we would go to a show, and when we would have a table, we'd say, show us your art so we can be jealous and you can brag. And like, we're exchanging this, and this still gets to continue on the Facebook group. Like, people can brag and say, I got this. And we could go like, dude, that's awesome. That's fantastic. That was how much you stole it, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're really glad that it came back around and is able to be a free enterprise now, and not have to pay for a website and everything and work on that. So we're really psyched. And like Jared said, you're one of the first people we got to chat with, and I'm glad. I hope we eased you into podcasting fairly harmlessly.
Absolutely. Oh, I mean, the first time I did it, I was super nervous, super nervous. And then now now I feel like a natural at this, thanks to the various episodes that you let me be on. So now I feel more comfortable about it.
And I don't.
But if it's okay,
we all tried to talk. Go ahead, Charlie.
Oh yeah. No, I was just gonna say that what Alex mentioned too is about being a positive resource and podcast. That as a listener, I've always enjoyed. Whether you guys did it solo or with guests, there was always something informative and especially when it came to supporting and featuring guests on, that you were enjoying it. You guys were fanning out, and you gave them the opportunity to basically promote or to talk about their side of things, and it was always enjoyable and informative to me.
Absolutely,
and it still will be because I still have to catch up with some episodes. But yeah, it's very nice.
Ripping on stuff, like everyone does it. Everyone does their own riff track, watching a movie with their friends, just tearing it apart. And we've certainly had our share of stuff that we've criticized, but ultimately I feel like it's more fun. It's better for everyone to let's just focus on the stuff that's fun, the stuff that makes us happy. Every now and then we'll still, I didn't really enjoy this but I feel like we were pretty good about, and I may just be a huge hypocrite here. Someone's scrolling through our episode history, finding all the worst shit that we ever said. But I feel like we were pretty good about it. And a place like Sketch Prices, back when we first talked with you, it was sketchprices.com, which if you go to that website, you can, and Charlie, I pointed this out to you a couple of years ago. Currently, the domain is for sale for $3,895. When you enter in sketchprices.com, it brings you to hugedomains.com, and it says that the domain's for sale. Because Charlie has moved it over to Facebook. The last time we talked with you back in 2018, as I destroy my web browser pulling up my notes, it was titled 10,000 Strong because you had just eclipsed the 10,000 member mark. That was January 2018. Currently, as of right now, it's 2022. You're coming up on 15,000.
Wow, that's amazing.
So when you say was it worth it? Was it? Is it? I feel like there's almost 15,000 people, including many. We talk to a lot of artists.
Yes.
And we typically bring up Sketch Prices and it's like, oh yeah, I'm on Sketch Prices. It's, and we've talked about with you in the past, but there's a lot of people who really dig the thing you made.
We don't consider ourselves legit journalists by a long shot, but I've occasionally used Sketch Prices as one of my research tools. Because let's say we're gonna talk to an artist, and I'm gonna go to Sketch Prices and do a search for their name, and see what they've made, and see what their prices are, and see what posters have to say. If they really like the transaction, if it was great. I think I brought that up. I think it was Sarah Richard or Tressa Bowling. But I brought it up and I was like, right, so we want Sketch Prices. People post about what they got from you. And I think it was Sarah who was like, oh, I don't want to know. Thinking like it's a diss site or something. And I was like, no, it's good. she was worried that it was just people trashing artists. And I was like, no, I'll say 99.999% is positive because people like the hobby and they enjoy what they get. And sometimes there's a story involved. And also that's why we've never considered talking to Ali Garza.
Right. Correct.
But I'd mentioned to JR, recently, I guess in the past year, there's been a couple of posts where someone will say well, I'm the agent for so-and-so and they're opening up the commissions to this many. And then the comments start coming in of well, I'm waiting on a piece from 4 years ago. I'm waiting on a piece from three years ago. And they go, and they're like, but I'm just the current rep. That was a deal some other time. And then Like, how do you guys deal with that? And it's just such a headache. And I'm telling Jared, and Jared's like, I'm getting anxious just hearing about it and trying to police that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's not just a simple cake of a job. It's, you know, sometimes there's tough calls you guys got to make, and I don't envy you for it, but it's,
Right.
you know,
I would say that, you know, I'm surrounded with a good team of people, very nice people who are great moderators, also very firm in their in what they can, you know, help with,
mm-hmm.
you know, we're you know, at times not perfect about maybe decisions that were made or not made, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
but that's part of what's great about it is that you know, that I have a great team of moderators, including, you know, myself, and we make an effort to make it a positive place. I don't want people to leave, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for you know, whatever reasons there are. You know, some have, and some have been, you know, really amazing artists, and it's a bummer because of some feedback that gotten through the site.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the good thing too is that like like, for example, I'll say like Ken Carson from C Comics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he kind of did the opposite of those kind of newer reps when he started working with Larry Stroman. You know, he kind of took the ball and helped Larry and helped the previous the customers who were still waiting for the pizzas, and try to facilitate that. And you know, that was awesome, because you know, I think some of that was through sketch prices, and to help the fans, and then to also maybe help with the reputation of the artist. You know, that was pretty cool. Thanks to Ken, who, you know, one of those newer facilitators that are, you know, he considers those things, you know, and so it's nice to see that.
It's not an easy thing to walk into a job and like be hit with a bunch of problems. Like, you think we're just going to operate as it's operating right now, and anything that happens will be a new problem that we'll take care of. And then having to walk into a typhoon and be like, time to fix this. Like, that's not an easy thing. And I respect anyone who's going to try.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that would be a difficult situation, especially if you're, you know, I think you guys and the moderators and I and the facilitators who, they want to help the artists. They want to encourage, you know, fans to work with them, because they're fans of probably of the art and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think always the intentions are great. You know, it's just a matter of, you know, organizing it to be a great experience for everybody. So it's you know, I can't imagine going into that either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, moderation is a thankless job, because when you're doing it right, it's, well, yeah, they're just doing what they're supposed to do. But if you mess up,
seamless.
it's they're power hungry.
Yeah,
they're Nazis. They're censoring me.
Right.
It's brutal. But
yes.
I'm glad to see that Sketch Prices has continued to grow and evolve, even through the tough times the last couple of years, because it also, a lot of it, I mean, not the whole thing, but a lot of it was big with conventions, where people would go to conventions and they'd get art, and then they'd come to Sketch Prices and show it. You could certainly still reach out to artists and commission pieces when there weren't conventions happening, but it certainly, I imagine, would have made for a downturn in content, I guess. But I'm still psyched to see that Sketch Prices has still continued to grow, and that the community continues to grow with, and everyone just showing up, like just scrolling sketch prices, you can get lost.
Yeah.
Because it's just such an addicting and fascinating thing.
Oh yeah, it's even with what's happened the last few years, and it's been nice that there was some adjustments, and some people use sketch prices to help, kind of continue and supporting the artists, definitely when they had no shows to go to. I hope that some people were able to use the page to at least get some commissions going and help with finances. I'm glad that things are changing and more shows are happening, and but I hope it was a good resource too during the pandemic, and it helped some artists.
Yeah, I definitely saw a number of artists like posting when they have work up or when they'll be ready to do commission or send out commissions and stuff, versus like originally assuming it was just all be fans, and then seeing the professionals walk in and be like, "Here's my piece, it's ready," here's when I'm posting work. And even like we said, like we haven't been to a convention since February of 2020, and I'm assuming everyone else hasn't, but then I'm seeing people posting like, "Oh, here's what I got in the last month," and they have like 6-7 pieces, because either they find artists through the website or through Instagram, or they get stuff on eBay. Like, I paid $82.73 for that. Like, that still counts. We'll count it.
Yeah. All right. Totally. Yeah. And it's cool. Like this, I think this weekend, which is the weekend of last weekend of March of 2022. I feel like I'm seeing like 3 different shows happening, and people are posting at least 3, and people are posting what they got this weekend, and it's really cool to see that that resurgence, and I don't know, it's hopefully it will change for the better, and both whether it's from home or at a show. So
yeah,
cool
it's as long as people are being safe, that's all we don't want to lose any more fans.
No, absolutely not.
Wear your masks.
I hope everybody's safe. Absolutely.
Yep.
I'm on the same page.
Yep. Going back, it's always been such a fun ride, because like I said, we've had you on the show 3 or 4 times.
4.
I can't remember
this
4.
is number 5.
Wow.
Okay, gotcha.
Are you guys going to send me a jacket? Or... 5-timer club.
5-timers club?
Yeah.
It's
I guess Brett and Colin would probably
yeah, they're the kings.
ultimate jackets. And Babs,
But,
I think too. Right?
Babs has only been on twice.
I'd say
I think
she's less than 5.
I can't quite remember. She might be able to tell us. She's probably screaming it at us right now. But yeah, we've talked to you a bunch of like 2013, 14, just throughout. It wasn't like early on, and then that was it. Like, you also remember the one time we talked with Charlie, but we also did a Comic-Con recap. So like Charlie was just sitting there like twiddling his thumbs, like, I guess I'll just hang out. We don't deserve
I remember
it.
That was good. That was a good one.
So it's always been a ton of fun. Just both to record a podcast and make content, but also just to have a friend, a friend with similar interests who just happens to be, 11 million miles away, across the country. But it's been a very good time, man. Sharing a love of of comics and sketches and Invincible and
Do we have to bring that up?
oh no, we'll talk about that later.
Okay, yeah.
But that was supposed to be happy. But
Alex got really quiet.
anyways,
Charlie, have you watched the show?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Do you like it?
2 out of 3 of us have, so there's that.
yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm a piece of shit.
Oh man, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. I watched the first episode.
I don't even know that.
I watched the first episode through questionable means and felt bad about it. But I also, in my extreme distaste of Amazon, I refused to sign up for Prime. So.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay.
I'll get there eventually. I'll get there.
Well, Alex, if it makes you feel better, if I had a time machine.
So many choices. But anyway, before I ruin the moment, it's been great chatting with you, man. Yeah, honestly, it's been a lot of fun, both doing the show and also just Facebook posts, Instagram. Your love of music is also infectious. Posting about it on Instagram all the time. I think the last time we talked about Stevie Ray Vaughan at length, and Alex was doing the thumb twiddling that time. But it's just been fun.
It has been fun. I've been so lucky to get the opportunity to meet you guys through Skype.
Yeah, right. I think it's always been Skype.
Yeah. and to follow you guys throughout the years, and whether it be Facebook or Instagram at this point, and whether it be opinions may vary or your personal lives or posting on sketch prices, or even getting my yearly Halloween card from Alex. It's always your guys' kindness and friendship has mattered big time to me, like I said earlier, and I hope, and I'm sure it will continue, and again, just one of these days we're gonna meet up. I hope
it'll happen.
It's comforting to hear, because there's so many times where we do the show or we ask someone to come on and help us out, and we start to panic because we think we're being a burden of some kind. And our friends go, I have to spend time with these, like, how long am I stuck here for? And but to hear when it wasn't so bad, that's nice. That's comforting.
Oh, it was never bad. It was always a joy. I really enjoy listening to you guys, and you guys crack me up, and I really had fun.
It's kind of crazy considering I'm a sucker for nostalgia and getting sappy and over stupid things, but like it's I guess it's fitting, you were one of the first people we reached out to and that we interviewed, and it wasn't just hanging out with friends talking about the latest news in comics and stuff like that. And now this is at least in the current iteration, what OMV is, what we've been doing for the last 10 years. This is the last time we're chatting with someone. Mm-hmm. This is it. This is for, I don't even know if we told, this is going to be in the last episode. Mm-hmm. This is going to be in 450, alongside a couple other people. And then also, Alex and I chatting. But this is it, man. This is the last time we have to connect with someone. The last interview or whatever you want to say. It's getting me emotional. It's kind of wild to think about. But it's fitting. I'm glad it's you. Oh, it's a nice bow tie. on the last decade of chatting with people. It's been great, man. And now we're just gonna do the whole thing where we wind up talking in circles, thanking each other. So, I guess I can probably work toward ending this. But thank you, Charlie. Thank you for sketch prices. Thank you for coming on and chatting with us and dealing with us, and also letting us into your life and just always just being a chill ass dude.
Thank you. Thanks, JR. And I feel the same. This is definitely an honor.
Awesome.
Definitely an honor. And I don't even know. I'm speechless. This is I finally got my Oscar.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of, thanks for missing the Oscars and coming on and chatting with us. But yeah, man, it's been a blast, and these things are always so awkward to end. So, Alex, unless you got anything else, Charlie, thanks. You're the best, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. You guys are the best too.
Aww.
And to the future, I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing what you guys do next. So,
Thanks.
Likewise, my man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so the OMV All-Stars Part 2. That's the end of that. Huge thank you to Vicky, John, and Charlie. It was a blast catching up with them and reminiscing and getting very emotional. It's been a wave, but I'm glad ultimately we got to talk with these people at least one more time, because they've all been crucial, instrumental to the ongoing of the show and all that stuff. So I know we've already said thank you a bajillion times, but one more time, a massive thank you to the three of them. So who's going to do it? Who's going to initiate?
Where to start?
Yeah, the sad stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we got to get to that because this is the last thing. A year ago, Alex and I wrapped up recording an episode, and I was like, "Hey, man, by the way, I think I'm good next year."
Mm-hmm.
And Alex was like, "Okay, I understand." And it was very easy, very painless. I don't know if I've thanked you enough for that because it was a very stressful decision to come to.
Well,
but
we did that after, I think it was the anniversary episode, and I said okay, and it was fine, but like I wanted to make sure that I got back to you again, just to establish like I said I knew this was going to be hard, and like it couldn't have been an easy decision to come to, and I also knew it wouldn't be easy to tell me, because you can never predict how someone's going to react. Like you think you might know, like when you have that fight in your head, and then it just never goes the same way. But I made sure I established. I was like, hey, that wasn't. I'm sure that wasn't easy, and I hope it went all right, and I hope like you're comfortable saying what you had to say, and I'm here for you, and I'm okay with what we decided to do.
And it was a stressful decision, but like I also, because I talked about it with my wife at length, and she assured me over and over again, she's like, Alex is a reasonable person. She's like, if anyone would get it, he would. So, but yeah, we decided that we'll do another year, and here we are a year later. We're on the final. It just happened to, we did a little extra because it was, I can't remember how the math came out, but it was like we had like 12 episodes or 24 episodes to go, or 24 weeks to go. I can't remember.
Yeah.
12 months, 24 episodes, but we had to record 26. But we made it work. We actually managed to cram it in there, right by the seat of our pants. This should be up the last day of March, which has always been our anniversary month, whatever you want to say. And here we are. So we do have a couple topics to get to, just kind of some bow ties, wrapping up some stuff, some nostalgia. But
I think we've addressed it before, because some people ask why, or like what's the reasoning, and one of the easy answers for me is that I think we took it as far as it's going to go without it becoming too much of a struggle and putting in as much time as we could. This is as far as it was going to get. And like, is there a chance we could have made it into something else if we had more time, or like we were able to invest more into it, or trick some interns into working for us? Maybe. But this is where we got, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Despite the fact that we didn't, and I guess this kind of leads into the what we hoped for kind of topic that we had. And I think we kind of addressed this a little bit with Colin too, but you know, when we first kicked things off, I was a vain, dummy, very, very stupid, very vain and naive. It was, I'm going to start a podcast with my friends, and everyone is going to want to hear what I have to say because I have the freshest, hottest takes, and we're going to get famous, and we're going to get invited to conventions, and we're going to be known in like the comics world. People are going to look to us for our opinions on stuff. But it turns out, speaking from my own experience, when you have very vanilla opinions, nobody gives a shit. When you're uninteresting and you just, hey, Saga's a good comic. Okay. Everyone knows that. And even when I always like would kind of duck from the tough stuff because I'm not smart. You watch people who do like the video essays on YouTube who are able to put together coherent, factually driven points to you know, this is what this is, and this, I can't do that. I'm not, I guess with the proper time, but like we never did a scripted thing. No. We always did some bullet points and then just kind of fired. And
so I have 2 bullet points here on that. I don't know if you know this, but I was trying to work on a Diamond Distributors episode. Because at the time before pandemic, they were a monopoly. They're the only comic book distributor company in the country. And if you wrong them, like, they might screw up your orders. Right. And I stepped into like knee deep of the investigation pool, but I realized no one wants to hear about Diamond Distributing. It's not going to be an interesting like hour-long episode story.
A takedown piece.
It's anecdotal for people who are into comics and frequent shops. Like, I had one shop who treated their Diamond rep very well. They would send them flowers on their birthday. They sent them a card for Christmas. They were very in touch and like very friendly human being to them. And you know what? They always got their orders every time. I would have HeroClix events there, and a new set would come out, and some shops wouldn't get their stock because it'd be allocated to other stores. And this shop always got theirs. I'd go to a different shop to play HeroClix, and when their order was wrong, or they were missing a few issues, or got the wrong issue, or didn't get a variant, their idea was to call up their rep and punk them out and swear at them and bitch over the phone. You know, they never got their shipments on time. They never got their order.
Go figure.
Crazy, strange. But Glassdoor is a fun place to look if people looking for jobs haven't heard of it before. You can look up what employees have to say about businesses they've worked for. And Glassdoor revealed to me that a lot of Diamond Comics distribution, there's a lot of nepotism there. Like a lot of nepotism. And if you're like a sorter packer kind of level entry person, the pay is not great. But if you're into pop culture, tchotchkes and bullshit, then that's cool because you'll get some of that. And it's also not surprising that their only 5-star Facebook reviews are from former employees or like employees who had worked for them and now don't. Yeah, but it's neat when you make your employees give you 5 stars on the social media site. Yeah. That's always not a clear, obvious issue.
But you were trying to put together like
Yeah.
a journalist, an expose.
I didn't want to use that term, but that's the only thing I had. And then I mentioned to our local shop guy, and he like, it's just, you get what you get. That's
right.
I'm like, Matt, this isn't the juice I'm looking for.
You're desensitized.
But to the other thing we were talking about, how you said you were thinking everyone would want to tune in to hear what you have to say. I feel like we were able to do the opposite. Whereas here's the thing, like we do the show and we know people would listen to the show, but we did such a good job of not making it about us that we're invisible. Like we can go to a convention and no one's going to know who we are.
Right.
Like we're not putting our face in every picture. We're not putting our face in the videos, and we're not live streaming ourselves reacting to anything. Nothing against other people that do that, but like they'll get recognized, and that's nice. You can go say hi, or like that's the person from the show, but we can skate by and manage to work in secrecy, trying to go get our sketches and comics signed and stuff.
Right. We would wear the shirt. We had shirts made a couple years ago, and wear the shirts to conventions, and it's always, oh, what's that? Oh, it's my podcast, and that's the extent of it. And I think it was equal parts. We focused on guests, but also we were just so full of shame, so full of it, which we'll get to. But as far as kind of when we started out, I just thought everyone would want to hear what we had to say, and it was cool. A lot of our friends came to us and like, hey, your podcast is really cool, because at the time, podcasts they were definitely there, but they weren't exploding. Like not everyone and their mother had a podcast like it is today. But eventually it turned into a desire to show people things. We went from just talking about the news and here's what happened in Walking Dead, whether it was the comic or the TV show, because we just leaned on Walking Dead for everything. It turned into showing people cool things, because ultimately that's what we really enjoy doing. Everyone loves telling their friend about this thing that they found. So like if we got to do that, not for a living, because we never made money, but we got to make like a little like a hobby out of it.
Yeah. And
talk to people who make really neat stuff, and say, hey, look at these things. And hopefully if a couple people would tune in, and if it got people a new fan, cool, worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right in that we took it with our level of commitment and time and effort. I think we took it as far as we could go, because otherwise it would be sacrificing more money, which, let's be real, inflation's killing me. No, I joke, but it would take a lot. And like you had mentioned this a long time ago, where I was like, I mentioned something like signing an autograph, and you're like, if you want to sign autographs for real, you're going to need to put a lot more effort into this. And I was like, yep, I don't think that's something that I can do. I think the effort that's required. Yeah, the effort that's required to like hustle and get to, if you naively just think that you're gonna, I'm gonna get famous. I think Bo Burnham was on one of the late night shows, and he talks about like fame and stuff, and he's like, he's telling people like, give up on your dreams because it's not going to happen. He's like, you can look at me, someone who is incredibly lucky. And he's like, that's what it is. You have to get lucky, and you also have to have something new and fresh, and you have to have amazing talent. And, but anyways, not to just completely tear us down. Fame didn't, I was expecting it to just happen. Where our podcast is going to be on par with Kevin Smith, and he's going to invite us onto his Smodcast network. How naive and stupid was mid-20s Jeremy. But I think what we turned it into was a great thing.
Mhm.
And like you said, I think we got pretty much as far as we could with it. We talked with some amazing people throughout the years, some unexpected people, both people we thought we never would be able to have the opportunity to chat with, and people we wouldn't have expected on the show when we first started out.
I don't know how much looking into us they do, but let's say some of like the bigger names you've gotten in the past 2 or 3 years, would they have talked to us on episode 70?
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
definitely
And
not
there was
episode 10, but
Yeah, there was that ramp up. We kind of ramped up to some of the bigger names over time I think when you accrue a backlog in a library, I think that helps.
Mhm.
It is kind of crazy, and I would get jealous and spiteful when I see like one of my favorite comic artists or something posts like, "Oh, hey, I was on this podcast," and it's like episode 7 with such and such, and I'm like, man, what the episode 7? Like we were still talking about Ninja Turtles and Calvin and Hobbes. It's
the trick is they've been friends for 10 years, so that's
right, that too. Yeah. Or it's their 16th podcast,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they've been doing it or they're just very good at what they do. Who knows? Yeah, I was very naive at the beginning, but ultimately, what we put together, I think, was great. I mean, 400. When I look back and think, like, it has been 10 years, dude. 10 years. It is the longest thing besides my relationship with my wife. This is the longest thing I've ever done. Like, I haven't even my old job at the bookstore was just shy of 10 years, but this has gone longer than it. But it's pretty bonks when you think, especially with the fact that we did weekly episodes for 7.5 of those years.
Yeah.
We've been doing weekly for the past month and a half, and I'm exhausted. And I'm not even going to your house. I'm still. I'm literally right now. I'm in my pajamas.
We're not even making our friends hang out with us and then go to Wendy's and then come back and then record.
Right. Yep. Shout out to everyone who ever came on, because goddamn, you did a lot for us for minimal return. Yeah. Anyways, so
I mentioned it briefly before, but I want to dip a bit further into it. When Charlie had said that we were his first podcast that he's been asked to come on, and I think I said we got that a lot. If I didn't, here we go. we got that a lot where we had asked people to come on, and they would say, "Well, I've never been asked before. This is my first podcast." And we go, "Well, it's pretty harmless. We're just going to tell you you're cool and ask you questions about what you do."
Yep.
But I want to give ourselves a pat on the back because we would work to find new people. Like it's fun and so it felt good to talk to like established industry professionals, but it's also nice talking to new blood, to fresh talent who like hasn't gotten a major hit or anything, but they're making their way, doing what they want to do, and they're trying. And I liked putting spotlights on people who are trying, and we're still learning from them. We still got to discover new things and learn what they do and how they do it. I like that we could do that for them. Not that we're doing some kind of huge favor for strangers, and like they're doing more for us by coming on the show. But I just hope it's recognized that we took risks and we tried to find things that other people hadn't seen or hadn't found.
Right.
We could have stuck to the same old thing, but we gave it a shot and tried talking to people who do different stuff and cast our net a bit wider. And also, like I said, sometimes to the detriment of the show, where I don't know how to describe who we talk to because there's so many varieties of people. Yeah, we worked hard on finding different things and a lot of fresh voices.
And I feel obligated to give you most of the credit for that, because not only did you hunted down the guests, and that was kind of like your thing, was to find the people and communicate, but also like me being lazy and shy, I was more than content. We just we see what John's doing, see what Colin's doing.
Mhm.
We'll just chat with them. And Alex would routinely be like, well, I have something else in mind. And a lot of our guests happened because of that persistence, and not just resting on the laurels and relying excuse me, and relying on the same people we've been relying on for so long to give us more of their free time. But ultimately, the catalog that was put together, I think, in terms of the breadth of it, is enormous. And like you said, maybe to the detriment of the show, just because one week a listener might be very interested in something, but then the next week it's something completely different and they don't care, which might turn them off. Maybe they're like, okay, I'll give this a shot. Actually, maybe I won't. Who knows? But I think casting that wide net was great. It introduced not only us to so many new things, but hopefully some listeners to it too. Gave people an opportunity to talk about their thing.
It wasn't all me, because I still needed you to say yes.
Right.
If you weren't into it, I would have to drop it. And it was often a thing where, like, if I didn't think I could convince you, then I wasn't going to go for it.
Right.
Yeah, it would have to be something like, there wasn't more than like a paragraph worth of like a text message sent. Look, I know this person's weird, but I think like what they're making is neat, and it could turn into a good show.
And for the most part, I don't think there was a whole lot where it was just like, no, I'm not interested in that. I think
I'd say
I tried to give
1 in 20, maybe.
Right. Like
Yeah.
It was pretty rare when, excuse me, I'm getting all choked up. It was pretty rare. And even if there was like hesitancy, most of the time it was like, you know what, let's do it. And then it always, because leading up to it, I talked about this a couple on the Colin episode, leading up to it is stressful, doing research, trying to figure out good questions, unique questions, but also not just completely out there things. But in the end, the end result was typically always that was great, that was awesome, that was so much fun. Again, I think I can count on one hand the amount of times where I was like, I did not enjoy that episode. There's probably 3. I honestly, it's very hard to think about instances where that actually happened.
What's funny is when we finish an episode and be like, well, we got lucky with that guest. Like, it turned out real good, and we got lucky. And like,
Right.
we got lucky like 200 times.
a very, yeah. Most of the time, apparently we were very lucky, but I guess it just turns out we were talking with really cool people. So the instincts were correct, and it was worth it. So, but there was a lot. Did you ever get? I tried, but man, there's a lot of episodes. Did you ever get an official count on how many guests we had?
I didn't.
Because that's a lot of scrolling. And like I said before, your boy's lazy.
I know at episode 300, we had 100 guests.
Right.
And then
that was 150 episodes ago.
And then we've done less repeats since then, I think.
Oh, yeah. That's one thing. And that's probably also attributed to the fact that we cut our episodes in half, but relying less and less on bothering our friends and finding new people to talk with, at least the last 3 or 4 years. Like Joe, it got to the point where Joe was only on once a year for PAX recaps when we used to literally rely on him every other week. Yeah, man, I think we put together something pretty neat. If I'm gonna, and I feel like we've been pretty good. I can't talk, dude. I feel like we've been pretty good about really thanking everyone, but like if I'm gonna, Pat, it's gonna be in this episode. So please forgive listeners if you're not interested in hearing that. But I feel like there's some really neat people we talked with, and for as long as the episodes stay up, I feel like there's an incredible backlog. Hopefully, if someone Googles something or someone, if they catch one of our episodes, I hope they enjoy it. For the most part, some of it's going to be dated because a lot of the times we were talking with people about the thing they were making like right now, like if they were kickstarting something or if they had a book coming out.
Oh, that's what I meant to do. I meant to look up how many Kickstarters we helped and talked to and promoted.
Yep. Or ended up giving money to ourselves.
So a lot of episodes became doing lessons because we'd ask people how to make the thing.
Right.
And a lot of it would also be encouraging people that you too can make the thing and don't let yourself be stopped from making the thing. And at some point I realized, well, you don't always have to feel like you need to make. Like if you just want to be entertained and learn, that's fine. Now I felt like I was pressuring people that they had to produce stuff all the time. And that's
create content.
And that's, like we're saying right now, that could be exhausting. And there's points where I have to realize, like, you could just enjoy the show and listen to it and not have to make anything. But that means you can also become a fountain of information for your friend. Do you have a friend who's making a comic book? Well, of a podcast that talks to a lot of makers. And even if it's not about drawing the sequential pages of the comic book, we also talk to people who have to design the binding. Like when you see the hardcover on your shelf, someone designed that. Do you think Ivan Rice designs his covers and bindings and the graphics on the back?
His paper quality? I mean, he might.
Yes, and you might like drawing a lot, but you have to mail that out somehow. You got to figure out how to mail it right. And I know it's not interesting content. It's not fun. Like going to a convention is fun, but setting up the artist alley might not be interesting to everyone, but we think that's neat.
Yeah. Yep. I would argue that it is impossible to look through our backlog of episodes. And again, I'm patting myself on the back here. I'm patting us on the back through episodes and not be able to find at least one thing that was interesting or something that you might be into or something. There's a very good friend of mine who isn't into any of the things that we're really into. We'll turn on our episodes every now and then and he'll message me and be like, hey man, I listened to that episode. And I always respond with thanks. Really? Thank you for listening. And that's awesome. But it's kind of surprising. I wouldn't have thought you would care about that. But it turns out, they thought it was interesting. They may not have known what we were talking about in depth, but I don't know. I think it speaks to the people we're talking with and our ability over the years to get good conversations out of people.
If you don't like comics and video games, like my brother, maybe you want to hear us talk to the sideshow performer who breathes fire and eats glass. Is that not interesting?
Right. There's something for everyone, and I hope people have enjoyed that. As far as is what we hoped for, eventually we talked about talking to people and showing people cool things. It also turned into just a battle of attrition. It turned into yes, I do this thing. And the first 7.5 years, it was, we do it every week. We haven't missed a single week. Alex had surgery once. I was studying for a we haven't missed a single week, whether it was vacations or if someone was unavailable, every single week we put out an episode, for people. It turned into that pride thing.
If we didn't get it in 7 days, we got 2 the next week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And even then it took a while to get to that point. And it was, we were hard pressed to not break that streak. concerned about the no one who was paying attention to that streak. It was also just, it was fun to be able to say that I did it, that we did it. We made a thing. Creating content is fucking difficult, if you'll pardon my French. And coming up with new things to say and new people to talk with over 10 years, I think, was quite an achievement, if I do say so. But yeah, we made content. We did the thing. And here we are. Should we move on to the next thing?
What were you on right now?
That's kind of all I had for that thing. But there's also we talk about opportunities, and we'll eventually get to some final thank yous. But I've been kind of
I hope all of our listeners were entertained. I hope we were a break from reality. I hope you found new art that you didn't know about before. I hope you discovered something new. I hope you followed new artists. I hope you tried something new and at some point committed to doing it. You can try and start something, but like we said, it's committing to it and being able to keep at it is a pretty good feeling too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there weren't many in terms of like, go ahead.
I have a do you remember?
Hit me.
Do you remember our very first Kineticon?
Yep.
I don't know about you.
No.
That was the most awkward time because I felt like this was the first time we were like going on an adventure together, just the two of us.
Without some sort of gang.
Yeah. Yep.
Also at this show.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just pulling
without a buffer.
pulling into the parking lot and parking and like, I've been here before. You haven't. You've been to like comic book shows, but this is not that. And I was nervous, like if you would like it, if you would hate it, if you would hate me being here, if we would get along doing this. And it was like, how much we just people hanging out, how much we media professionals. And I don't know about you, but I was a little stressed starting that day.
I don't fully remember. I do remember it was stressful because that was also at the time when we were balls to the wall. We need to make videos. We need to get interviews. We need to do everything to create this content and get it out into the world. And I have since made those, I've made those interviews private on YouTube because I don't want anyone seeing that. Like when I asked Adam, when I was absolutely confounded and befuddled that Adam Warrock's favorite X-Men would possibly be Jubilee.
The way he went, really?
Really? Because in my mind, I'm like, Jubilee's anyways.
She's
that was
sidekick.
Probably my lowest. That was my lowest point. The dumbest thing, like my face turns red, you know, whenever I think about that.
Yeah.
It's just the secondhand embarrassment. Like I just remember, just always, I was a bundle of nerves because that was one of the first shows, if not the first, we ever covered as press.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how do we cover this as a show? What do we do?
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'd never been to a show like that before. We were only there for a day. We were only there for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about Kineticon and how it's a show that you have to kind of, it's not going to happen to you. You got to kind of find things. And we've talked about Kineticon at length. Haven't been back in a little bit, but hopefully someday we'll be able to get back as just straight up guests. But yeah, I do remember it was an interesting one to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we did get better at it. We never really had, were we doing it right? You know, were we ever covering a show correctly? I mean, people kept saying yes. So especially like, I remember the biggest shock was getting the first approval for PAX.
Mm-hmm.
Cause the first year we applied for PAX, like 2014, maybe I can't remember. We got denied,
mm-hmm.
which I get it. And then the next year we tried again, and they approved us. And I remember it being the coolest thing in the world. And I went back and I read that email like every day for a month, because it was validating. It was exciting because it meant that people, not only like people deemed our show worthy to cover it, but also the people who I very much enjoy what they make felt that we were worthy. You know. That was a big deal, and the first yellow press badge man, that was the coolest moment. That was the coolest moment, dude. And it really never got old. I very much enjoyed covering that show. Got to cover multiple. I did cover Unplugged, and I applied for South, but then I actually rescinded my application because I just wanted to enjoy South because I was going to be there with family.
That's the kind of integrity we have.
Right,
because you could have just gone to enjoy it and then not really reported on it, but you decided they deserved your enjoyment dollars because it wasn't time to do the work and pass. Right.
Yep. We were only there for maybe half a day, and I was there with my wife and her brother and his wife. They'd never been to a PAX before. I'd never been to Texas before. And I had applied, and I was like, you know what? It doesn't feel right. I'd rather just spend the like $30 or whatever, get a day pass, and just enjoy it and not worry about it. Because I'm already going to be worried about whether or not the family's having a good time. And but
imagine telling your in-laws, like, hang on, I have to count how many people are in this panel room.
Right. Yep. I did drag them to the Omegathon. Unfortunately, PAX South was, I don't want to say it was a letdown, but it was, especially being so used to East, is definitely not East. It is much more low key. It is smaller, and I don't know if it's just the year we went, but it was hard to find stuff to play that wasn't packed or had a line, or, you know, like, we wandered around the expo hall just looking for something to be able to play, like, as a group, and we couldn't find anything. We just did a lot of wandering. It was kind of a bummer. But anyways, yeah, that was kind of a big moment, was covering the first PAX for me. That was a good time. And like handing off who gets the press badge this year for the press hour, you know?
Yeah.
I remember the second year I was like, okay, Joe, give me your badge. Take this and go have fun.
Yeah.
You get to do whatever you want for an hour, and no one else is going to be in there except for other media. He took full advantage of it.
And then he refused to play Tekken with me.
Son of a bitch. Unbelievable.
Literally, I'm like, hey, Joe. And like, I'm pointing towards the Tekken booth. And he just looks at it and like storms in the exact opposite direction.
You only had an hour, man. There was one time where you and I both got to go in for the press hour. I believe that was only the one time, because you would do every other year at PAX.
Yeah.
No, the one year was with Joe where you did the press hour, and then the other year I believe was with me.
Then Bob was me one time.
Bob was you one time. Bob was another saving grace to Shy Bashful JR.
Took charge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He didn't give a single shit, because we had part of the press stuff for PAX, and we're so off the rails. I didn't even give a shit this last episode. Part of the press process for PAX, I don't know if it happens with other shows, because it really only happened for PAX, was you get put on a media list, and before the PAX show, your email gets absolutely obliterated by vendors and creators and game devs reaching out to set up slots for demos and play tests, and hey, look, we're going to be at this booth, come check us out. One of the ones we got was, do you like Acquisitions Incorporated? You know, let us know. We have reserved seats. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude. So I emailed them, and they're like, you know, they took our names, and I believe that was the year that you went, but everyone else went back to the hotel, right?
I think I stayed to do something else because I didn't need to go see the show. And I knew Bob was a bigger fan than I was.
Right.
Yeah.
They sent us instructions on what to do and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be me and Alex, you know, quote unquote. But Bob came with me, and there was someone who was going to be waiting with a list, and I couldn't. I'm like pulling out my phone looking for like the person's name I was like, what did they say their name was? And like while I'm pulling out my phone, Bob just walks up to a person in front of the escalator. He's like, hey, are you for the D&D thing? And she's like, oh yeah, yeah. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm Alex Squire's opinions may vary. This is my co-star, and like just totally just owns it.
Yeah.
And then a couple minutes later, we were watching Ack Inc. Pretty near the front. Someone passed out on my leg, and it was terrifying. You ever hear a human body hit the floor on when they're unconscious?
No.
It's jarring. Yeah, it's jarring how hard when the body doesn't do a single thing to prevent itself from hitting the ground, how hard they hit the ground. But anyways, it was a lot of fun. Bob saved me from myself, just like you've been doing for years.
He filled the
it was
role
a lot of
well.
Yeah, he did. I mean, that classic Bob.
Probably better than me, to be honest.
As far as if we're talking opportunities, you know, this is a good segue because I do wish I had my notes, and I told you this during pre-show. My notes said less shame, more balls. Always so full of shame, so full when it came to promoting and saying, "Hey, listen to this." I can't remember the last time I shared an episode like on my personal Facebook, just because embarrassing and like, oh, you don't. If you want to listen to it, you can. Just don't feel obligated. If we really
I
wanted
play the
to,
opposite card, where it's like, oh, you don't listen? Okay. I'm not going to tell you to, but I'm going to judge that you don't.
That's your right not to listen, I guess, but I thought we were friends. I didn't have that hustle mentality that new episode dropped, get at it, episode dropping in X hours. You know, it's it was just
shit, were we supposed to do
that? Yeah.
When's the episode dropping? Saturday?
I don't know, usually probably Saturday. And like there was nothing official, that just started happening because like I think I would just get lazy and put it off until it got to the point where it was Saturday and I was like, well, I got to put it up before the weekends. And then it turned into Saturday. So I wish I'd been a little more proactive, I think, in not only promoting but also trying to be better at getting in touch with more people and reaching out and just shooting shots, I guess, instead of just assuming, no, they wouldn't be interested. Because a lot of our biggest guests, I figured, there's no way they'd be interested.
Looking at a few groups, realizing like, oh, we're kind of far behind on a few things. Like metadata tags. And
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's a way to like say what your content is in the file of the episode somehow. Yeah. And also never having surveys to find out who our listenership is.
You're right. Yeah. I'm sure that, like, people could look at our analytics. If we showed them the stats, they'd be able to decipher like the key demos and all that stuff completely over my head. We use freemium software on laptops, and I've been using a USB mic, you know. But I guess that also feeds into another thing I wish, and this isn't so much of a missed opportunity, but like, had I known the PAX 2020 recap would be the last time I would record in the studio, you know, in person. Honestly, you know, because 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And here we are 2 years later. It's kind of bonkers. Like it's nice being able to just, okay, I'm going to go record and then just sit down in my pajamas and plug in the mic. I do wish I could, you know, we could have eventually gotten back in, but it is what it is. That's pretty out of our control. We did what we did our part. But
I never, it's working out just fine for us. And there was no reason to pressure you.
Right. Exactly. I had debated being like, you know, should we try on the last one but it's just not, Is stuff scary, and I'm not interested in taking too many risks.
Imagine doing this right now and like being nervous the entire time.
Exactly.
Are we sitting far enough away from each other?
And then going home. I mean,
did I clean my doorknobs good enough for you?
like, and we've the odds of anything, because like I said, we both did our part.
Mm-hmm.
We did everything that we could and can do to be as safe as possible.
Still are.
But you just never know,
mm-hmm.
and I'd rather be cautious. But it is a bummer. I do remember like back in the day last year when everyone was getting vaxxed and we were meeting up, we were going to record the Brett, and it was like, it was the first time we had ever been like in person in like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And ultimately we decided not quite yet. And then here we still are. But it would have been nice to be back, but ultimately it works out just fine doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I never thought it would still, especially, the last episode we did in the studio with Joe, even then it was still a little kind of, I just said,
mm-hmm.
it was still, we were hesitant. We were, okay, let's do this real quick. And then we'll all fuck off for a while. Cause stuff's starting to sound really scary.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. It was a weird time. And now look at us. Who'd have thought that 2 years later we'd still be here? Yeah.
What do you want to do next? What's next?
Well, I've kind of burned through most of the really pre-planned stuff I had.
Okay.
I know I've gone on a lot of tangents. What do you have?
Did we do dreams yet?
Dreams, like hit me with one.
Early on, you were saying, even though we're getting denied media passes to New York Comic Con, there will be a year where they beg us to do a panel. We're going to shove it in their face that they wouldn't give us press, and now we're paneling at NYCC.
They're going to ask us. Yeah, that was a big one. That was it got to every year was, well, just put in my application. Can't wait to get that rejection. And then when the rejection came, it still stung.
Yeah.
Even after we started getting accepted to bigger shows, I was like, man, what do we need to do?
So in 2017, I said, if I hit the lottery, I'm gonna have a comic book convention, because that's the only way I'd be able to afford it. In our town, there's a mall that's dying, like in many towns across America.
Oh, it's been dead for years.
So many already completely abandoned with trees growing in them. Ours isn't quite that level. It's got a couple stores in it, but a lot of empty stores. Now it's like, we could have it in there. There's an empty Macy's store, a lot of room.
Two of them. There's two empty Macy's.
There's also a Sears that's empty in there. If we got one of those spaces, that could be
every
the
anchor store is empty.
Yeah. Except for Target.
Yeah. Yep. Target, and that literally the mall in our town is a movie theater and a Target. And then keep in mind, this place, I'm going on a tangent. This place was the place to be growing up.
Yeah.
Yo, we're going to the Enfield Mall. Like, that's what's up. There's a Hot Topic. And even then, Hot Topic came later.
Oh, yeah. They got late.
They weren't there for very long. They were like, oh, God, this is terrible. But what else? There was a PacSun. PacSun was the first place I ever applied to for a job. That PacSun at the mall. Yeah, it was the place.
The mall was so small, we had a PacSun, not a Pacific Sunwear.
Yep. It's like one strip with like a cross in the middle. But it was the place to be growing up, and it has since turned into a wasteland, which gave Alex the idea.
So I found like a map of the mall too, in all its sections. They're numbered weird, and I like MS Paint drew in it OMV Con, and a friend, I think it was Colin maybe, or Joe.
I believe Colin came up with it.
They're both very witty. The OM Weekend. And I said it should be a Saturday, Sunday show, no Fridays. All of the people we've had on episodes would be guests at the show. So all those artists, at the time, it was less than there is now. A friend had said one of the floors of the old Macy's is now like a police dog training area. And I was like, oh, if the obstacles and train is still there, that's our Nerf arena. So we could have Nerf battles in there. A friend who works there is like, you could just bring this pitch to the mall. They might say okay. And I'm like, don't tell me that.
Don't give me hope.
We would go ahead and put a wrestling ring in like part of the floor and have our local pro wrestling come do maybe both days, whatever. Set up a stage outside for fire breathing for our sideshow for performers to come do some. Have a steampunk corner for all the people who we've talked about and talked with doing all our steampunk stuff. And then there was a lot of jokes between friends. One, for instance, since I've never been on your podcast, can I be a volunteer who tells you registration is in one room and you find out it's really not? And I told her you can design them. You can design all the maps and give directions. However, the true map is an upcharge. And accurate directions only given to anyone that purchased the Less BS lanyard with a 17x12 sign they have to wear. Brett said he didn't know he was booked. I was like, are you serious? Fans can find Brett and most of our board members in the OM Village, where they can meet all their hosts and guests. And also Brett's art booth will be nowhere near that. They'll be in two different places. I said, also, you have 4 panels. Brett said, pictures with Brett are free. Pictures with Brett's beard are $742.
It's a steal, honestly.
Really? What else did I say? There's a movie theater right there. So all of our friend Jared's films would get shown. Any other fan films from people we'd have. Oh, we talked to Larry Houston. Let's put some X-Men cartoons in the giant movie theater. We could do stuff like that. Our haunt friends, Evidence of Evil, they had like a horror escape room. Lots of empty stores to park that in. So now you've got like our horror element. There's just so much we could have done.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been fun. Which
it would have been fun and quite possibly taken years off of our lives.
And then we meet Jeff Callis from Penny Arcade, and he goes, "So what are your plans for the podcast?" And we go, like, what do you want to do with this? Keep doing it?
Do you need a podcast at Penny Arcade? That kind of feeds into what my hopes and dreams were. It would and we mentioned it, I think it was during pre-show, like getting a studio, like having studio space and like being able to hire our friends and give them jobs. Like, you know, Joe would be like our essentially like our president, and all that kind of stuff. We did, you know, it's that pipe dream that requires a lot more effort than I was ever willing to put into it, whether I knew it or not. But like being like a full on straight up, like we have a studio that we record our podcast in.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I wish, given finances and an opportunity and effort, I wish it would have been neat. That
Mm-hmm.
would have been neat.
We would put so many posters on the walls. We have so many posters.
Yep. So, like, dude, we have like a ping pong table. We'd be one of those cool places where you work for a little bit, but then there's also the streaming room, and you play the video games and do a little more work. I don't know, but that would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
My cat feeder's going off in about 17 minutes.
Okay.
So that might put a time limit on our last episode because the cats are going to be barging in and they're going to go insane if they can't eat. But did you have any other anything else you wanted to touch on there?
I just want to remind everyone that OMV Podcast, Opinions May Vary, broke the news that Ryan Otley would be drawing Spider-Man a month
Yeah.
before it was officially announced.
We got the scoop on that one from John Boy, right?
Yep. John Boy Myers
Yep.
let us in
Yeah.
on the secret.
He gave us the breaking news,
Mm-hmm.
confirmed that Otley was going to be on Spider-Man.
And
We did break that.
and we're also a little bad at interacting with our listeners, and also this will make our name of our show a little less true. But it's time for me to say it. I was wrong, and Heroes Con is better than Dragon Con.
Despite the fact that neither of us have been to either of them.
A listener named Greg sent us a message 2 years ago. Last time it came up, and I figured, well, next time it comes up, I'll acquiesce and say, that was a good point. I don't want to get into it right now in our last show, but there is a very good reason for Heroes Con to beat out Dragon Con as the better show. And so now our opinions do not vary on that.
The one of two things that we vary opinions on, no longer. We still got the one. I still tape my comics horizontally, and you still shame me
Yeah.
for that.
We
put it to a vote. We put it to a vote at a convention, and I believe it was pretty decisive, if I recall correctly.
It was kind of close for a while.
That Babs and I are. We also had Babs kind of influencing.
Yeah, that was
Babs
unfair.
Babs is of the horizontal tapers community,
Mm-hmm.
and she's one of our most vocal supporters, and has threatened to fight you. And I'm not saying that she told people to vote horizontally, but she's better at talking than I am. So
I have been informed that people have altered their taping practices because of my influence. And really, that's all I need to know. That's all I need to hear.
450 episodes, totally worth it. All that matters is that people are taping their comics the way you want them to be taped. And every time, because I rip the shit out of tape because I tape my stuff horizontally, and every time I go, Alex, but I'm not going to change.
Did I tell you?
But we can both agree that it's better than using two pieces of tape.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Unnecessary.
Yep. Wait.
So
Anyway,
much
sorry, you were
hassle.
saying?
My fiance started playing Pokemon Go with me, and she listened live to our No Sleep podcast chats because she's a big fan of the show.
Huh.
She's who got me into the show, and so she was in studio listening the entire time. And
Oh, yeah, right.
she caught her first Caterpie and immediately goes, Catternese. Except much cuter than I just said it. And I was so proud.
I had forgotten about that story, and then when I was listening to the recap, I was like, "What am I getting at? What stupid joke am I about to make?" And then it dawned on me.
I wanted to make a master cut of every time we led Mikey Bracco into a Hellboy 2 question. By we, I mean
from the live stream with Colin.
Yes, yeah.
Oh God, that was the greatest thing. Whew. Man, that makes me miss it right there. The the little bits.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay.
Well,
I think my notes are good. I've got everything I wrote down, so
we've exhausted the main stuff. Anyone's still listening, we do have some. Obviously, we're going to say thank you a lot. We've been saying thank you a lot. There are some people who warrant thanking that we haven't really gotten to yet. Alex, I'm going to start because I wanted to thank you for doing this with me. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of stress, but it's been mostly fun and learning. How to be a better person and talk to people and make stuff. And I think it's brought us and our group of friends a lot closer, being able to this silly little thing. I did want to thank my wife, my gorgeous, gorgeous wife, for having the patience, for letting me do this for so long. Once a week, I would say, "Okay, I'm leaving," for many hours, and she'd say, "Okay," and she never gave me shit for it. It was never, "Oh, why are you doing this?" The one time we had the emergency recording at my house, or at our old apartment rather, she was more than okay with it. She's been a saint. She did used to listen. She would let me know every single week. She'd say, "Hey, I'm listening to your new episode," and
I want to throw some thanks in there too, because as I had said on when we talked to Jimmy Deguchi and Brandon Chalmers, just so many times where I didn't let it be known, but I just felt so much guilt and like stress when I haven't found someone to talk to yet or a topic yet, and then I just do tomorrow in 2 hours. Are you ready right now? Knowing that, like, am I like, if you guys ever had plans, I'm just screwing it up week after week. So I'm also very thankful for her patience, and she let you do this for so long and let me interfere in your guys' life so much.
For what it's worth, and you can take comfort in the fact that my wife and I are very boring, and we don't do a whole lot. But it was always like, for what it's worth, even if I was like, "Oh, that tomorrow doesn't work for me," it was never a big deal. It was okay, we'll reschedule. Yeah, so my wife has been very supportive throughout all of this, so I wanted to thank her. I do want to throw a shout out to Justin, who is the one of the OG3. We started the show with Justin back in the day. He was one of the people I was like, "Hey, we should make a podcast," and he was all for it. So he joined us, or not? He didn't join us. He kicked things off. He's the first voice you'll ever hear on this show when you boot up the first episode. So
like an encyclopedia of comic knowledge,
a literal encyclopedia. Also, not a bad Nazi zombie player. Not too shabby.
We killed so many zombies.
Yo, okay, so Justin and his damn martyrdom. The martyrdom in Call of Duty with the grenade, you kill the guy and then that drops the grenade.
Right.
He would get everyone with it.
I would run past him every time. And then explode.
And you just never learned. It's like instant Alzheimer's. But anyways, we did. We had started the show with Justin. He eventually did leave the show, but he is one of the original founders. So I do want to send a big thank you to him for helping us kick this off and get it up and running back in the day, helping us come up with topics and weekly questions, and just having just such a vast knowledge of stuff.
If the three of us didn't start it, then it would not have been started.
Yep. True. Fact.
Yeah.
Yep. Where's it? God, man, I'm starting to get emotional. But and losing my train of thought. But yeah, a big thanks to Justin for helping us kick things off and founding the show. I did want to thank Riley Stark, the graphic designer who made our logo, the only logo we've ever had, and the first logo she showed to us when she came up with the designs. And I was like, yes, that's it. She banged that out in like 12 hours, and we've used it ever since. And now it's on merch. It's been on the website and the YouTube and everywhere, all the business cards. And she also made our business cards.
You joke that like no one recognizes that shows. When I went to 5 Points Fest with our shirt on, the 5 Points workers said, "Opinions may vary. We talked to you last night."
Right.
Yep.
We got the one. Makes it worth it. But Riley Stark designed our logo for us. You can still check out her work. She's on Facebook and Instagram. I believe it's the Riley Stark, or you can find Riley Stark. So big thanks to her for designing the logo and helping us with the business cards very early on. This is like month 1.
Yeah.
She was right on that. I remember meeting her at her house after work one day because I worked with her husband. We had both had a closing shift, and I was like, "Okay, let's go." It's like 11 o'clock at night. Who else did I want to thank? I've gotten through a lot of Do I thank Libsyn? Like, they don't give a fuck. They got our money. We've used Libsyn the entire time. If you're ever thinking of I just said stinking of tharting.
Nice.
Thinking of starting a podcast. Libsyn's been good to us. I know there are probably a lot of free methods out there to do it, but they did a lot of the legwork. I essentially click a couple buttons and it uploads our episodes to a bunch of places, both intended and unintended. And they make it pretty easy. We've never been paid or reimbursed for saying Libsyn's great. We've done nothing but pay them. But for what it's worth, I was always happy with it. Who else did I have? The boys. So yeah, I got to shout out the boys. Colin, Joe, Brett, everyone. We've already said thank you a million times, but I felt the need to give them another more shout out, a bigger shout out. And Alex, I'm gonna let you. Let you get to go into some thanks.
We decided we were going to start doing conventions. We did 3 total, but we were going to need a banner. And so we have Adam Aerosmith to thank for making us our first banner.
And he wouldn't let us pay him.
He let us have it for pennies, essentially. Because I told you the cost, and then I added a 0 just to be
right,
just for chuckles. And you were like, okay, that's what it's worth. And I was like, no, actually, it's that. I was messing with you. And you were like, are you serious? That's it? That's what we hung at Boston Comic Con? We hung it in the background of a few other videos.
He gave us our first unofficial merch too.
Yeah, he made our stickers.
He's like, I made us some stickers out of your logo because why not? He's like, they're not perfect, but because he had to like recreate it or something because the image quality wasn't enough or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're like, dude, what? And I still have some of those. They're in my backpack right now.
Yeah.
And it was always like, I don't want to use them because I only have like 6. I don't want to go through them too quickly. And then I just never used them.
Thanks to Greg Seymour for putting us in his webcomic, 22 Things to Do in East Corners. And since he made character versions of us when it was time to try and make some merch, I also paid him to make stickers of us too. Ed Yancey, who we've talked to, we tabled next to him at Boston one year. I said we needed to make this gross out sticker, and he's the perfect guy to do that. Thanks to Ed for that artwork. And one of our favorites, Mikey Bracco, I was like, he'll get this one good. When JR said he wanted to get Yeet Meme tattooed on his knuckles, I was like, that's a good one. That should be a sticker. And I
wish I could tell you how hard I guffawed when you sent me the proof image of that.
And even the coloring is perfect too.
Yeah.
I was like, no, that works so well. The font is great. Yeah. So thanks to them. We also reused one of the images that Adam made for Division being a bitch. That was me going, you know what? We need to be legit. We need merch. That'll make us legit. Well, it kind of worked.
I like it.
I like it too.
I got to decorate my laptop with Yeet memes, and
fiance put a Yeet meme on her car, on her bumper,
and then it got smashed.
It did. She needs to put a new one on.
Yeah.
And thanks to Christina Pepper, and a compliment pianist that we had on a while ago. You'll hear why later.
There's probably people we're forgetting. There's a lot of thank yous that we've been doling out over the past month and a half. There's no meaning right now, but everyone who's ever been involved in the show, really. And it's lame to make a blanket statement like that, but honestly, there's so many people who have helped us throughout the years. Mm-hmm. You are valued, and you meant very much to us. Thank you for everything. Whether you were on just once, 7 years ago, or if you're a reoccurring person who we bothered week in and week out, thank you very much. It is much appreciated for helping us make content for $0.
If you listened for 449 episodes, and even up to now, you have my gratitude. It doesn't really, I don't understand the crossover. between looking at a download number in like stats and understanding this is a person who chose to press play. I'm not sure it's gonna register that much, but I thank you for doing that, because if we were getting 2 listens per episode, we might end this a lot sooner.
Yeah. Yeah. Just call it a day. Let's that didn't work. You know, I don't even know what happened. I do remember early on when we dropped the first couple episodes, we were getting hundreds of downloads a week. And we're like, okay, we did it. We're officially known. And I don't know if it was just it's stats, or if like we were on some sort of front page for a second, like here's a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it obviously petered out and didn't last long, but it definitely helped with the ego at first. You know, for the handful of people who have been listening for years and years and years, they're all amazing. I've been making a podcast for 10 years and I cannot be bothered to listen to a single one myself. I listen to them very sparingly. Like you gotta make a good thing to get me to listen. So I get it. A huge thank you to anyone who has tuned in, listened to our nonsense. You know, I think we got better at it early on. A lot of jokes and burps and farts and whatever. Where we can do whatever we want. I think we got better at it, and I think the product. I'm proud of the thing that we made.
Yeah, you should be.
But yeah, you know, I'm not sure if I have anything else that I'm just gonna wind up repeating myself. But I'm trying to make sure I remember anything, because there's not gonna. This is it.
Yeah.
Weird to think about, but
for any
go ahead.
further, if anyone has any questions, I still plan on being here. I'll answer emails. I want to make sure that when Star World eventually comes up, it will be an OMV podcast production. So the website will stay the same. The episodes are not going to go anywhere. But yeah, like the Facebook page is going to stay. The Instagram is going to stay. The posts might change a little bit, but nothing's going to get too out of whack. And there's not going to be any kind of immediate OM version 2 or anything. That's not on the horizon.
Right. I say you were into vacation too.
I plan on taking one.
I'm excited to see where you do with it, where you go with it. If I can harken back to the old standby, old reliable. And while I might be bowing out, I can't wait to see what happens. I know it's great to know that I leave this show in good hands for whatever happens next. I know it's not going to be, and again, a rinky-dink podcast that some people listen to every now and then. It's not like this is a monumental passing of the torch or some sort of blockbuster merger or something, but it is still nice to know the thing that we made and is gonna be in good hands. I think we made something neat. So hopefully everyone listening in enjoyed it too.
I had fun. I hope they had fun.
Yeah. You know, if anything, it gave us something to do. and we got to talk with some of the coolest people in the world while we were at it. So that's a neat little benefit. Yeah. I guess is that it?
I think so.
Is that the show? Are we wrapped? I got nothing else.
Me neither.
I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun making a podcast with you, man. It's been a good time.
Yeah.
It's been neat. Oh, my cat's pooping. There's the cue. That's what we're gonna end on. So I guess I'm gonna stop rambling, because now I'm just delaying the inevitable, because now I'm sad. But it's starting to smell like cat poop in here, and
it's been briefly touched on.
Yep.
This is our legacy to an extent. Like, here's the thing. If anything unfortunate happens to me soon or in the future, there's 500 hours of me talking with some of my favorite people
Mm-hmm.
to remember me by. We both have that now. Like, I know it's grim to think of it that way, but in this, it's lame. It's so stupid. In this digital format, we still exist.
Right. Yep. It's like, no, I don't want to get too morbid about that. That wasn't a good example. But I get what you're saying.
I made it awkward.
We made a thing, and it will, at least for the time being, it will always be up there. I mean, it's going to be up on YouTube. I think half of our episodes pretty much are on YouTube right now. Fun fact, do you know what the first episode was that like started when we started uploading weekly to YouTube was?
No.
It was with Ken. When we talked about fighting, I believe it was Ken's first appearance.
Huh.
Because that's the first title card that I have made. And there's definitely other stuff on there from before, but when we started actually, like when I found the usability on Libsyn to like automatically upload to YouTube, I believe that was the first one. Because of course I saved all the title cards I made, and it started with 251. Anyways, yeah, we made a thing. It's up on the internet. At the very least, pretty much half of it's going to be on YouTube forever. So, hopefully everyone enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. Big thanks to everyone who came on, talked with us, helped us make the show.
I think it's time for us to walk away.
Yeah, we can put our backpacks on our shoulders, and we're gonna head down the road. God, what do I even say? I don't say until next time. So thanks for listening. What do I say? This is so weird. I legitimately cannot think of like, how do I not say until next time? Everyone, thank you for everything. This has been great. Thanks for listening. Thank you for being a part of our little OM universe. It's been a blast. So, for the last time, I have been JR.
I'm Alex.
And this has been episode 450 of Opinions May Vary.